Hello folks, how are we doing? It's the Transfer Agenda Show, Deadline Day special. I'm happy to be joined by Gav here. How you doing, mate? How you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right, mate. Been quite a quiet day at the office from our side of things. But quite a
Oh,
busy
well,
day
it hasn't been that
transfer.
quiet. It hasn't been that quiet, but it's been hasn't been the action hasn't been as we wanted it, I suppose, but there's been action. It's just not what most people have wanted, I think.
Well, fair enough, mate. There is actually, I will say there has been one surprise. That the Nat Phillips one did surprise me. I
Well,
actually didn't
yeah.
see that happening at all.
Nope.
So fair play. I know we spoke about this earlier. I actually think that was quite a clever signing because I don't think Matip's going to be Matip's going to be fit. Sorry, I just saw in the comments there Matip's going to be fit for the rest of the season. I think going forward that's quite a smart one. But it has actually been quite a busy day, Gav. It's quite a lot of I don't know the record for transfers, but a lot of big transfers have went through. Maybe not your big Mbappe level ones, but there's been quite a lot happening. What's your thoughts on today? Have you caught much of it, or are you just now and again?
Yeah, I've kind of dipped in and out of it throughout the day. You know, I seen the Henderson stuff comes out, and you're like, okay, we knew that was happening, but they've done it today, and a lot of people got upset over the timing of it. And look, people are entitled to be upset over the timing of it with regards to what they're looking for Liverpool to do in the transfer window. The Nat Phillips one was just mad. We were only speaking about this last week, weren't we? About, maybe, I think it was on your channel, we done a show and we were saying maybe Nat Phillips and Basuma and something to do with with Brighton and stuff like that. Yeah. And like that happens today, and we've heard from journalists yesterday saying, look, Nat Phillips will more likely leave Liverpool. And then this morning we heard Nat Phillips, they're waiting on bids to see, and he could leave today. And then about 4 o'clock today, or whatever it was, 5 o'clock, whatever, and he signed a new 4-year deal. And I'm like, how do you go from selling a fella this morning to give him a 4-year deal? But obviously that deal was obviously in the pipeline for a good while, and I'm not against it. I've said for most of the summer, I think we need 5 centre halves for this season, just as a security. And an insurance against, VVD, Gomez coming back from long-term injuries, Matip's injury record, the sort of way. So, and Kanate coming in as a new player into the league and into the team and giving time to bed in and whatever else, or whatever it might be. So I wasn't against it. So, but that was mad. But overall, yeah, it's been an eventful day. There's probably more to come. In the next 2 hours or so. I don't know if it'll come from Liverpool. We have got Sky's transfer centre open on the screen here as well beside me, just in case, and I'll keep an eye on it as we go. If anyone's in the chat and you want to throw in what's happening, we'll try to keep an eye out. There's loads of comments coming in, so we're going to do our best. I'm going to throw that in there. They're keeping that because they won't replace Matip. I think it's more a case of keeping it because he's a backup, and we probably will need him because of the centre halves that we have and the not the injury records they have, but the recovery that they're going through. And Van Dijk looks well, but Gomez hasn't been really seen much of. And then Darcy just puts in another super chat saying, "Keep up the good work. We'll try our best, man." Kieran B says, "Grab some cans, Gav." Of course, I've grabbed some cans.
You're
mad. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this for fucking 2 hours or a can. But I've definitely grabbed cans. But anyway, what have we got on the agenda?
Sorry, I just look at the last comment.
Let me see. Is
James LFC 86?
Liverpool signing a new tea lady in 25-year installments of £1.50. Yeah, I've seen that going around that the two girls in the canteen are meant to sign deals as well. It just seems to be one of those days, isn't it, where they're just extending deals. But look, we'll get into a bit more as the show goes on and stuff like that. Of
course. Just to add before we get to agenda, Gav, see the Nat Phillips thing. See, when you actually take a step back, it makes a lot of sense because at the start of I actually think when we one of our first shows together, we had a conversation about this, and we said at that time there was rumours of Kabak, Reece Williams was there, Ben Davies was there, and now you look back at it. Ben Davies out on loan. Reece Williams looks like, I don't know if that's been confirmed, so apologies, folks.
Reece Williams has gone to Swansea on loan after signing a 5-year deal at Liverpool.
Right. So when you look at that, and then I know you hear about the recovery, which I agree with, but also Matip in general. I love it. You know how the community know how much I love Joe Matip. But let's be honest, Gav, right? We all know he's not. If he stays fit, it'd be a miracle all season. We know there's going to be stoppages in there. So really, you've kind of got, with Nat Phillips, you've got 4.5 centre backs going into the season. You've got 5, but you know you're probably going to lose one of them for at least a sustained period of time. So it makes perfect sense to me, to be honest. Perfect. I think it's really clever. I've got to be honest. I've always liked Nat Phillips, especially with the running, and I feel like I was speaking to my friend earlier, and to me, it's like Nat Phillips will get games. If you think about League Cup, FA Cup, there's guarantees he will play some games this season because of those moves and Matip's injury issues. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. But on to the agenda then, Gav. The first one I was going to discuss earlier is actually, it might be a bit lower than people thought, but I've actually secretly been wanting this player to come to Liverpool as a kind of bargain. People might say he's not good enough because obviously being Scottish and it's from the SPFL, but Crystal Palace signing Edward for between 15 and 20 million. I think that's a bargain. I've got to be honest, Gav. He's only 22 years old. He can play kind of flex. He can play striker. He can also drop in. And he hasn't been in the greatest form. But when he was on it for Celtic, he was really good. And I feel like that'll be a good signing for Palace. What's your thoughts on that?
He was linked with Brighton heavily about a month ago. In around the 20 million mark. 25 million, I think, might have been the price about a month ago. I seen him when he first rocked up at Celtic, and sometimes he was unplayable when he played for Celtic. Strong, quick, good finisher, cool in front of goal. And I watched him at the weekend in the Old Firm derby, and I thought he was atrocious. He misses an absolute sitter. He doesn't seem to want to work. And maybe that's something that he knows he's leaving Celtic, and it's a case of, I'll play, but I'm not going to give everything because I'm on my way out the door on Monday morning, which looks like there was the case. Palace needs something. They do need something because I don't think Benteke will work for them. Hasn't worked for them overall. I think they've even gone to the stage where AU had a kind of rich vein of form at one stage last season, I think, and he's kind of dropped off. They put Zaha up there at times, but Zaha's a left winger for me, and that's basically where left or right, but left predominantly. And they do need something, but I think it's a risk for Palace. I think they could have got someone at 15 to 20 million. They probably could have got someone a bit more Premier League proven. But like you said, he's only 22 years of age, so it's one of those where it'll be interesting to see him. And I'd say in the first 10, 12 games, you'll probably know is the Edward we're watching at Celtic over the last probably year, judging by the Celtic fans' comments, is the last one over the years a fella's just got a bit pissed off and, I'll get out of here.
Yeah, down tools a little bit.
Yeah. Whereas the one I seen when Celtic were flying was brilliant. He was unplayable at times. And I, from being from Ireland, being from Dublin, I know loads of Celtic fans. So and they're very honest about their players, and they'll tell you if they're good or not. Like there's parties going on, I think, at the moment because Ryan Christie's gone to Bournemouth, I think.
That's a strange one, that the Christie.
Yeah, well, he's never impressed me, Ryan Christie.
Yeah.
Whenever I've seen him play,
I strangely think that'll work though. I know it sounds crazy, but see Christie for Scotland, he's hit and miss, but he's one of those players. See, because he's got a left peg, it's quite sweet. There's certain games where you can watch the highlights and it looks like he's had a very good game because he's had a few shots that have been close. And for some reason, I thought I was certain the reason Bournemouth got Christie today, Gav, was because Brooks was going to go to, I think it was Newcastle. I might be wrong. It's a Premier League move anyway. And I thought they're going to, get a right kind of predominantly plays on the right side with a left foot, kind of similar to Brooks. But that's what I thought this morning. But I don't know if there's been an update on Brooks yet since that. But it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, and they've signed Celtic have also signed Jota from Benfica on a loan with an option to buy. That was announced in the last couple of hours.
Is that the one with the long second name? Is it?
It came up on Celtic's feed and it just said Jota. It's on loan from Benfica.
Giankis. I saw this in Giankis.
It might be something along them lines. Yeah, they've signed him. It looks like as and they're being linked again with the young guy, Patrick Roberts, that was really good for them a couple of years ago at Celtic.
He's went a bit off the boil since then.
Yeah, he's at City. I think he went back to City, went on loan around England, I think. There's talk of him going to one of City's sister clubs in Troyes, I think. But Celtic are being linked with him as well to try to get him back up there because he was brilliant for Celtic when he played for them. Krellin says, honestly, wasn't pissed until they had the audacity to announce Hendo on deadline day. Are they really that naive, or do they just take us for mugs? I don't know. It seems a very planned thing. to throw her out on deadline day. And part of me today was going, are they doing this and they're building up to something that you might see something at break at 10 o'clock? I don't know. But everyone knows my feelings on this. You know, I think we're 2 players short to compete for the 2 big competitions this season. I think we can still have we can have a right crack at the league with the squad we have. With a bit of luck, everyone needs a bit of luck. But it's just, I don't know, Crellin. I really don't. You know, it depends on the way you look at it.
Sorry, Gav. The only hope I was going. Sorry, only go, Gav. So I was just going to say, you said the 10 o'clock thing, right? Is like the only hope I've got with Liverpool ever in this time, getting this late into the day, is in the past they've managed to keep stuff very quiet until it gets announced, and that's a small percentage hope I've got right now. But that's what I was going to say, Gav. You say maybe the 10 o'clock announcement. If anything, that's maybe the one thing that Liverpool have actually been good at in the past. However, I think I'm clutching at straws there, mate.
Yeah, it's look, I'm happy over the Henderson and the Nat Phillips thing, but I understand people going, why are they doing it today? You know, I understand that because I think these deals would have been, I don't think they were just, you know, agreed late last night or yesterday or the day before that. So, but I'm happy with them. But I get where people are coming from with regards to the timing of them. But then again, it's something in me, and look, this isn't me trying to fucking get people wound up or like that, but there's something in me going, are they going to just, because they seem to do an awful lot of posts about Henderson from the main account on Twitter today. Instead of just one big reveal, it was like 4 or 5 different posts, and maybe it's because he's captain, I don't know. And Nat Phillips kind of got 1 or 2, and then there was one about Reece Williams, and I was kind of going, are they just building up here? I don't know. I really, really don't know, but everyone knows my feelings on this. I think we're too short to challenge on both fronts, because I know they don't really care about domestic football or domestic cups. So for me, they're too short in a footballing sense. And then at the end of this window, I'll probably look and go, you probably should have done 2 more, and I'll kind of move on. You know, and I'll go, right, you know, Leeds away after the international break. But there is people out there that just go, we need 2 more. Nothing's happened. They're taking the piss out of us on transfer deadline day, and I want rid of them. And that's the prerogative. You agree to disagree. You move on. You do what you want. But it's a poor window for me. It's a poor window in a footballing sense. For me, it's just a poor window that I genuinely think 1 or 2 more in the here. I think we can still win the league. I've said that. People can lash me for it. But I think to compete on the 2 levels of League and European Cup with what I think are fairly obvious injury concerns for certain players going into the season that usually happen, I think we're too short.
No, I absolutely agree, Gav, and I think we've spoken about this before. I don't think it's rocket science to know that. We've already heard, I'm not going to exaggerate Firmino's injury. It might not be that serious a one. However, if that doesn't give you the what's the word, give you a kind of foreshadowing of what can happen this season, then I don't know what will. Especially a midfielder. The more I think about it, it seems to be I'm wanting an attacker more, because I feel like, you know, you've got Elliott in there now, Thiago as well, and Jones. However, I feel like I completely agree with you. A centre mid and attacker was a must for me. And I don't want to go on too much of the Chelsea game, but that was reminiscent of last season. I know you touched on it at the Fatback 4. You were saying that there was times last season, and I know our defence wasn't there and we couldn't push high up as much and play the high line. However, it did feel like last season when we just struggled to break teams down for having a low block, and that was the go-to excuse for it. So that kind of got me a bit even more wanting an attacker. But I've got to be honest, Gav, a bit like yourself, I've kind of made peace with it earlier today. Still holding that little bit of hope, but
yeah,
to me, that's it done now. We just need to crack on. At the end of the day, we'll maybe be a few people annoyed tomorrow and maybe for the next couple of weeks, but you're not going to stop supporting Liverpool because you're going to still support the team that leads away.
Just, 100%. Yeah.
So we need to do what we need to do. However, I sometimes think I'm quite level-headed with this stuff, but I've got to be honest, I think we both agree. I just think this is a obvious area we needed some additions, and I've just got a feeling it's going to come back to bite us, to be honest, mate.
Yeah. Well, Brian Murphy says it's depressing seeing so many clubs improving their squads in the last few days, and LFC fans are supposed to make do with a few contract renewals. It all depends where you stand on it, Brian. You know, for me, like Ronaldo was a big thing. You know, people talking themselves about how big Ronaldo could be for United are mad. He's a machine. You know, I think Chelsea have done well with Lukaku. They're looking like they might do Saul on a loan, and people are breaking down over Saul. But for me, I'm kind of looking at Saul going, he's been offered to Barca, he's been offered to us, he's been offered to Chelsea, he's been offered to United. Like he's been offered around the place, and no one's jumped on him. You know, Chelsea look like they'll pull the trigger on that. And you know, the Ronaldo thing is big for United, but they're probably missing a few bits. But I think that makes them challengers simply because it's Ronaldo, and I think, you know, he's ruthless, and you know he'll pull
absolutely.
He pulled them out of games. Chelsea, I think I was surprised Chelsea haven't looked. Well, they're looking at Conde, but I don't know if that'll happen. I think if they got Conde in over Saul, I think it made Chelsea really, really strong. But I still see us as challengers, and look, this is where sometimes people they look at the contract renewals and say to themselves, oh, you know, it's only contract renewals, but they're important. They are important for the club, these contract renewals.
It's the timing, Gav, though, isn't it? You do that.
It is. It's more the time than anything else. I think if Liverpool went and signed 2 players, and then in the next week they announced all these players that they've announced over the last couple of weeks, people would be absolutely flying. Yeah. It's just the way it's kind of fallen. It's not great.
The Henderson's annoying me a little bit, mate, because the reason is I think that's a big day for Jordan Henderson, and I feel like it's been marred a little bit by releasing it today. I don't know if that's me maybe looking into it. I feel like that should be a day on its own where we're all celebrating the renewal of our successful captain. So that annoyed me a little bit. I felt like he maybe would have wanted it to be a different day as well. But that's just my thoughts on it.
Jordy T asks, what do you think of Dwight McNeil, lads? I think he's a real diamond in the rough. Obviously wouldn't break into the first team, but a good value sub. I like him. He's Burnley's best player by a mile for me. I think he's really talented. He's really direct. He gives fullbacks problems. I don't know how much he works for us, and I don't know how much he would give us. I don't know if he give us enough. You know, the sort of way. I don't know if he give us enough. But he's a really good player. I don't know if are Burnley testing the waters with Dwight McNeil and you know, throwing his name out there, availability. I'm not too sure because his name seems to come up a lot. I like him. I do. I think he's a really, really good footballer. I just don't know if he's the type that we need. He's more of an out-and-out winger for me, rather than, you know, one of those.
I think that's maybe a good thing though, Gav. And what I mean by that is right now, I feel like as much as Mane's done it in the past, and I'm not saying Mane out of the team, I'm not saying that at all. But McNeil beats his man, but he's very effective and successful. And I'm not going to list the stats of how many times he's done it, but let's be honest, the amount of times he's played Trent in other games, he actually beats his man and gets the byline quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I actually think he's something different. I feel like it's not predictable our wingers, but at times it's like we come back inside, Mane looks a bit off at the now when he's beating a man, so it's maybe not as effective. I feel like McNeil would be good. I would actually take him. I feel like it'd be interesting to see if you could play him on the right hand side as well. Gives you a bit of mixture. But the biggest thing I like is see if you got a number 9 in Gav. McNeil would be great because if you're chasing a game,
he's good delivery. He's good quality.
And I do understand. Someone spoke to me last night and compared to Robertson in our system. Now I do understand that to a certain extent, but Robbo doesn't actually play to the byline. That's not the type of left back he is. McNeil's very much driving at them. Quite effective like Jota, but very good at beating players down the line. I wouldn't be against him. I actually think he's one of those players you could probably get him. We talk about the Jota signing, Gav, get him for a reasonable price, and actually you could unlock him in a better team because he's not going to do as much, is he? He's not.
Well, I just maybe there's a point. Maybe you have a point in regards to something different because like. If I see Dwight McNeil, I don't know how good he is as in one of these inverted wingers, you know, like Salah left footed off the right, Mane right footed off the left. Maybe it is something different where you just go, listen, we're just putting you on the left. And we've very, very rarely seen, Liverpool switch it and just stick Salah on the left for 15 minutes.
Because Salah can't play on the left. He cannot beat a man down outside. It's not his game.
Yeah, so it's maybe it is something different. I was just wondering about what was the name being thrown out there because, maybe Burnley are just testing the waters. Like, but Scott Adams says Callum Hudson-Odoi stays at Chelsea and Jules Koundé is not joining Chelsea from Sevilla. Paperwork time for Saul. So that looks like it's just a case of time.
I heard rumours, Gav, that was like rising. That the Sevilla, is it the president? I get mixed up in Spain. I think it's the president was saying, the comments might know, but I think it was rising to like 80 million euros, Gav, something crazy.
Yeah.
For a centre back who can only really play in a free, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but that's too much for Koundé. Not worth that. The only thing I would say is they've sold Zuma. So that's the only strange thing. They've got rid of Zuma. I thought the Koundé deal was finished by them selling Zuma. So be interesting if they're maybe working on an alternative at the moment. But Saul's going there. He'll be on the wages he wants. He'll be on about 250 grand a week, which not worth that for me. I agree with you, Gav. I'm not paying someone $250,000 a week, and he's not even one of the top 5 players.
I thought the big thing with Saul was that people didn't want an obligation to buy, because I know he's on one of these contracts at Atletico where it's, I don't know, it's about 20-year fucking contract he's on, and he just gets more money every year, and that's why he's up at that height of money now, and it could go higher. So, any negotiations with Chelsea over a full-time contract for him, he'd be saying, listen, I can stay at Atletico and run down a deal, and I could be at 300 grand by the time that deal ends, and then I can go off and get 300 grand somewhere else, plus 25 million signing on. So, it's one of those where Chelsea have to be a bit careful with it, and I think they've done something where it's a loan with an option, so they can take up that option.
Obligation. Apologies.
Yeah, and the option gives Chelsea a bit of wiggle room on the fee, but it also gives them a bit of wiggle room on putting a contract down from, where they can turn and say, listen, we don't have an obligation to buy you, so you haven't got us over a barrel for a contract, but if we have an option, we can discuss it with you for, when March, April comes around, and we can try to do a deal in that way. So it's given Chelsea a bit of wiggle room on both. He's a good signing for Chelsea. I think he is a good signing for Chelsea. Look at what they have in midfield, but I'm just surprised they haven't done a little bit more with regards to centre half, like you said. What's his name?
Zuma going to West Ham.
Zuma's gone, and when I look at Christensen and Thiago Silva has been in and out, and I'm kind of Rudiger's come on leaps and bounds for me.
Good,
he's come on leaps and bounds, especially under Tuchel over the last 6 months. So I thought he would have done one more. Shawnee Lawson, our own man, he says you couldn't blame anyone for having grievances with FSG now. No, you couldn't. But I think your level of grievance, I think, is where people usually fall out over this. Like, I would have grievances with FSG because I'm one of those that if they do good things, fair play to them. That's what they're there for. If they do bad things, you kind of question them. And if they rectify them, fair enough. If you don't rectify them, you have a go. And now I'm kind of looking, going, as I said before, could we not have done one or two more? But again, we don't know the inner workings. We don't know if, like, people that say, Klopp is just a mouthpiece for them and he's a yes man to them, and he, but he could be part of this. He could be part of all this going, no, look, I don't want this player if it's just a case of bringing in that player. We don't know. And that's not me defending FSG or Klopp. We simply don't know. But I think if you take it on face value, you'd have to turn around and go, Klopp and the club have decided not to bring anybody in. So if you have any grievances over it, and if I have, I'd turn around and go, I don't think Klopp and the club have done enough. That's just the way I'd say it.
No, the thing is, Gav, as well, I know I've told you 100 times that I think we need a number 9, but I have actually been on the last couple of weeks, thought about it. If the right person's not there, the right attacker's not there, there's no point in buying someone for the sake of it, and I completely understand that. So when it comes to attacker, I can accept that. However, the only thing I'd say, and I understand, is I think there's actually quite a few options for centre mid that we could have got into the team that's doable and realistic. So that's the one that I know we spoke about Bissouma 100 times, but I'm not just saying only him. But to me, that's a I feel like number 9, we're kind of stuck in options because the maybe ones that are available are not there anymore. And as you said previously, Gav, you need the right person who's going to fit and make us evolve. Completely get that, and I can accept that. But it's the midfield. I think there is a few options that it would be, say, worth the risk, but were doable and could work for us. So yeah, it's a strange one. I think someone in the comments was saying, Fabrizio was saying sorry to LFC. I don't know if that's live right now on his Twitch, saying sorry Liverpool fans, but I think he'd said that earlier, that it was not impossible for us to sign someone, but there's a lot. Fabrizio Romano on his live Twitch.
Stop.
No, it was someone in the comments. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not getting involved with Fabrizio Romano. Like, seriously.
But it was it's good. It's when they said that, I didn't think much was going to happen anyway, just in general with the day. But if we maybe want to move on from Liverpool, Gavin, we'll probably get back to it a few times a night with all the.
Yeah, I just want to say on screen, Jordy T says it's about Dwight McNeil. He reminds me of a young Di Maria and still only 21. That's a huge show. That's a huge show to be compared to a young Di Maria. But go on.
Yeah, no, I was just going to move. We'll probably get back to Liverpool a few times, as we know, when it gets later and later. But so just so we can cover some other topics, Gav, I was going to ask you. It's maybe not the most exciting one, but I actually do feel that this is a good signing for Leeds United, signing Dan James from Manchester United, which is quite a quite a interesting one because the Leeds fans were singing a couple of weeks ago, "You're too shit for Leeds. You're not good enough." I think it was "You're too shit for Leeds United." So
Yeah.
that's an interesting one. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that move? I personally think Bielsa's he literally had the top on about 2 years ago to sign for Leeds.
Yeah.
I think he's wanted him. I actually think he'll do well. I think he will suit Leeds' system very well. Don't know if you agree with that, Gav.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think he's at Swansea, isn't he? And he's at Leeds. He's signed everything. It's all done.
It's in the
He's in the
document.
boardroom. He's in the boardroom. He's basically signed everything off his end of the deal. And I think United come in and trump Leeds with a higher bid, and Swansea pulled the plug and agree a deal with United. It hasn't worked out for him at Manchester United. I think he started off quite well, simply because he was a little bit unknown. He was quick, really, really quick, and he a couple of good finishes as well with goals that he scored, which is good. But I don't think I hate to say it, but I don't think having Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as his manager done him any favours, because Solskjaer used to just get the same players he could on the pitch all the time and never switch from what he was doing, and they just weren't good to watch. And I think he suits a more exciting style of football for me than James. A bit more action packed and a bit end to end. United weren't like that, and it's 25 million. United have done well getting, I think, most of, if not all of that money back on him. And he goes to Leeds, and when he's gone there, people are saying, "Oh, could Rafinha go?" Because stuff like that. I don't know if that will happen. I think they just added to their ranks, Leeds. But I think he'd be a good signing for them. I think Bielsa will do well for him. He kind of, for me, the style of player he is, I think suits Leeds.
Yeah.
They're action packed. They press. They get in your face. He'll work hard. He's a young lad that has plenty of energy, plenty of speed about him, and
His
he's
fitness
not
will
bad.
probably improve as well. And what
Yeah,
I
he's
mean
not,
by that is
and he's not.
pressing
Yeah,
wise will improve.
he's not bad in front of goal. So it's a decent move for him. I think he's right getting out of United. I don't think he get a look in now. Not when you look at when Ronaldo was gone there. You still have
Greenwood,
Cavani there.
obviously.
You've got Greenwood. You have
Sancho, Rashford.
Yeah, Sancho. You have Rashford. There's plenty of players there in front of him, and going on Solskjaer's previous form, he's probably going to find three up front there, and he's going to stick with them as much as he possibly can.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Gav. He talked about Solskjaer's management and coaching. It'll be interesting to see what he's like at Leeds after a couple of months, if you're feeling he suits that system and he gets the best out of a player. Because let's be honest, I know people sometimes don't like to, people think maybe he's a bit going about Bielsa too much, but it's actually going to be interesting for me to watch how he coaches James. And I think if you watch it his Swansea days, Gav, I know it's the Championship, but see if you've seen some of Swansea's counter-attacks and the pace he's got. If he's at a team who plays expansive like that, it's going to be a really, really interesting one. And it will be good. It will be good. I mean, I feel like that will work out well. I feel like that's a good move for Leeds, to be honest.
Yeah, Ebert. Sorry, I'm going to read these out because if I forget them, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, no, the super chat.
No, we had an issue with super chats last night where they just weren't coming through. They were coming through as normal comments, and we couldn't see them. And I ended up having to do a search to try find them. So I'm making sure I read everything out, and as much of other comments as well. Promo says, "You guys think FSG are preparing to sell by not investing heavily in the squad and retaining key players to keep our stock up after the new stand? They may go." Do you know what? I was talking to Callum from Coppish today, and we were having a chat about something different. And we were chatting away, and he said, "Do you know what? I've just done a tweet, and I don't know if I'm going to get lashed for it, but I think they're shaping up to sell."
I saw this.
And I think he has a point. Now, I'm not saying they will. I'm not predicting that they will. I don't do predictions, and I don't pretend to know anything. But I think he has a point when you look at the things you're pointing at, the infrastructure of the club, getting that underway with regards to the Anfield Road end, and that's in place. And once that's in place and going, it's in place. It's part of the club and it's part of the asset. When you look at the contracts they've offered the players to keep them there, that strengthens their asset if you're going to sell. You have got Klopp there, and they know they've only 3 years left of him, and that appeal to possible owners reduces if you know you've only a year left to Klopp and you've a major rebuild and stuff like that. So I think Callum has a point. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's just I don't think it's a bad point. I really don't. Eber Streller says James was 15 million from Swansea. I thought he was a bit more than that. So United have made a profit. They've made a 10 million profit.
Yeah, I think both parties will be happy with that deal. But yeah, I saw that tweet earlier and it got me thinking, if you were to sell Gav, when do you think they would actually legitimately look to sell the club? I know you said get stuff in place, but I mean, there's no transfer window for that, is there? They can do that at any time of the year they want to, really.
Yeah, I think if they were going to sell, they'll do it in the next 12 months. You know, and I was talking, I think it was maybe to Shawnee earlier, and he was saying, like, when you look at the collapse of the FFP, and when you look at the collapse of the Super League, although a lot of people think that might come back, when you look at that and the FFP and the difficulty in competing financially with, I'm not saying with standard football clubs, even though what we're watching in this transfer window would suggest otherwise, but when you look at Chelsea, PSG, Manchester United, and City in particular, when you look at Real Madrid walking around and offering 180 million quid for Mbappe and they haven't got a shilling, you know, and when you look at what Barcelona are doing just to get players out of there so they can bring 7 more in that they've already done or something, it's a bit mad. But I think if they were going to do it, I think they could do it in the next 12 months. If there's actual foundation to what Callum and some others think, because you usually see when a company, and I'm talking about them as a company because that's what they are, and I know people don't like that, but when you usually see a company that are going to sell, they usually solidify their assets, they strengthen their assets, and they have it as a complete package, rather than, oh, he only has a year left, and he only has a year left, and you might get him, you might keep him, you know, that sort of way. But then the other argument could be, well, hold on, why are they doing all this? Because if someone comes in and wants to get rid of them, it's going to cost them a lot of money to get rid of these players because you've given them big contracts. So there's many different ways to look at it. I think the biggest thing might be the FFP and it might be the European Super League, because I think that's what FSG have based a lot of their stuff on. FFP was huge, and I think the Super League, they've always, you can say they're only looking at it now, but whenever they came in, they were always looking for something that would absolutely maximize income and maximize revenue and stuff. And that Super League was absolutely going to do it, whether it was right or wrong. That's what it was going to do. It was going to guarantee you 350 million quid a year, and 350 million quid a year is not far off Liverpool's turnover. I think Liverpool's turnover is about 550 million a year. Now, I know that sounds a hell of a lot, but 350 million for one competition, you know, before we even start talking about renewed sponsorship deals, because you're playing the best clubs in the world week in, week out. It's just one of those. It's like Barry Devaney says, there's nobody listen to Phil. The Americans don't sell their franchises. Fair enough, but it's worth having a conversation about when you see what they're doing with regards to contracts and stuff. There maybe, because there's a theory, you can have a theory around anything. I want to ask you one. Barry Devaney says free Ashley Maitland-Niles. Have you seen what's going on there?
Yeah, it was Instagram, or it's not, it was Instagram story. Now I'm getting mixed up because there's a Thiago Silva one today as well. He had a picture of his hands tied, but there's one with Maitland-Niles who said, it was basically saying can't get out of the club, something like that. Was that?
Yeah, he just said he basically wants to go somewhere where he can feel wanted and play football. And then the reports from Arsenal is that he'd be training on his own because Arsenal blocked the move to Everton. Arsenal blocked the move to Everton, and then said he'd be training on his own. That's all a bit weird, that one, isn't it? And Everton are crying out for a right back, by the way.
It's strange, and it's like, I'll have to look to more details, but I would say, Gav, it's easy to say like that the club are in the wrong for doing that. However, as well, I don't think he's respected the club by doing that. But you don't know who's been treated the harshest in that situation. You don't know if there's maybe more happened behind the scenes to Maitland-Niles. But it's a strange one, considering that he's not really playing, is he? He's been used like sparingly for Arsenal, as far as I'm aware, because Cedric's played quite a lot of right back, and he can play centre mid as well, Maitland-Niles, but he's not really been getting a look in there. So to me, it would. I don't know if it's maybe the way he's acted, Gav. Arsenal might have been quite open to it, but then they thought he's been out of order, and then that's why they've put him with the kids. It might have been more than that post. You don't know. Sometimes I don't mind a club having a bit of a strong reaction, within reason, obviously, not subjecting the guy to any abuse or anything like that. But if they feel like he's not respected the club, I think there might be more behind that one. What's your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a strange one?
I didn't even see the original Instagram post because I'm not really on Instagram, and I think someone posted a screenshot of it on Twitter, And I looked at it and went, what's going on there? And then I kind of read down, the replies to it, and it was like, it looks like the club have rejected or blocked the move for actually Maitland Niles to go to Everton, and he'd be training on his own. And when I looked back up at the picture, I was like, okay, he's gone out and he's kind of gone a bit public with this, the sort of way. Now it could be a case of Everton offered the deal, Arsenal didn't want it, didn't like the terms, and he got upset and done this. But can there be much future? When I say can there be much future for him there? Like, their club captain was leaving for Roma fucking 2 months ago, and he's still club captain even though he's getting sent off at the weekend. So it's one of those. But Arsenal, I think, are signing. I've seen a great one. Arsenal are signing a right back, and I've seen that guy on Sky Sports. I can't remember his name. Cave or so. I don't know what his name is. You know the guy.
The Sky Sports, one of the
transfer fellas on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
And they were talking about this right back that Arsenal are signing, and he turned around and he said, "Oh, it's interesting now they're signing him because his agent rang me 2 weeks ago and asked me or texted me saying that I know anybody in England that were looking for a right back." And I nearly fell off the chair laughing. I was like, seriously, if my agent was ringing a fella on a sports desk to try get him a deal in England, I'd sack the agent if that's all he's doing on my behalf, But it was one of those.
You think there's like inner workings behind the scene, all this glam and subtlety and genius behind it. Just phoning them right up.
Just turns out they're just ringing Sky Sports asking, "Listen, does anyone in Sky Sports know where right back could be needed?" Like, stop it.
Phone your local tool station. Have you got any? You got any P3 masks in, mate? Yep, no worries.
Yeah, exactly.
It's genuinely, Gav, we're in the wrong job, mate. I'll do that for you, no bother. I'll do more than that each day.
Yeah.
I'll phone you.
Yeah, I'll be your agent, and I'll do more than ring Sky.
I've heard some funny stories, like from Scottish agents. Like, obviously, other people do more than that, but I've heard some just weird and wonderful stories of agents just trying to flog a player or trying to build them up to get deals. And you maybe realise that because you do see some deals that you're just like, he wasn't very good, yet he got a 3-year contract on 20 grand a week. There's been a few like that.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like, I just seen it today, and I was like, "Is this really happening? Is this like? Are we genuinely listening to a guy on Sky that reads out transfer news, telling you that he's basically has agents ringing him asking, like, why doesn't the agent know of what teams in England want a right back or whatever? Like, it's absolutely insane. I just think it's mad.
Absolutely.
People are asking, are we stuck with Karius as well? I haven't seen anything about Karius. I think he's in the last year of his deal. Who else is that there?
There was rumours about Ojo earlier as well, Gav. A few teams were looking at Shea Ojo.
Oh yeah, that there was a couple of teams looking at Ojo as well. A loan deal though, which I'm presuming he's out of contract then at the end of the season.
It must be. I mean, surely.
Yeah.
Shea Ojo, because he actually played in Scotland for a bit for Rangers. He's one of those players. He's like a proper, I'd call a cliche winger, very hot and cold.
Yeah.
And predominantly he's been very cold recently. But he did have some games. I remember Rangers played Feyenoord in the Europa League group stage, 25 yards out, left foot, bottom corner, played at big moments. But just seems to be, it's just he needs to leave Liverpool now. But it seems to be just, a cliche winger, just not consistent enough.
Yeah, Joshua says Griezmann has signed for Atletico Madrid. We did see that. We thought it was just in the final bits of preparation there and ready to go. Free World is laughing that we're talking about Ojo. But the name come up, Free World. Leave us a fucking... Now listen, Free World, don't get all serious on us tonight, right? We're having a bit of crack on transfer deadline.
Is that the Liverpool transfer story? We're talking about Ojo.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But Free World loves having a go at us and me in particular. So Carl Robinson as Ojo, he's gone to Millwall. So I don't know if that's a loan deal to Millwall, but he's gone to Millwall anyway. Who else? A few have put out that thing about could Luis Suarez end up back at Liverpool because obviously the signing of Griezmann to Atletico Madrid. What do you think?
I've heard some stuff about that. I've heard some stuff about originally the Griezmann thing was what they were looking at Sol to do a switch, and then I heard João Felix earlier to go to Barcelona and Griezmann to go, and I don't know if that's been part of the deal. The Suarez thing's been bandied about quite a few times over the last probably year, Gav. I don't think anything of it, to be honest, mate. I feel like it's it just seems to always be, we'll put this out there for a few retweets, maybe get a bit of speculation. But I've got to be honest, can't see that happening at all. What about you, Gav? I think there's any
No.
meat influence in that one?
I don't think so. Because and then you see the stuff like Ronaldo's arrived at United and Cavani going to Barca. Because again, Barca being linked with a number 9, and an unnamed number 9 yesterday, and people thought it might have been Cavani because, and where are Barca putting these players? Where are they putting them? Free words says Gav.
Aguero just got a register today, mate, because Jordi Alba had to take a further pay cut, or he had to take a pay cut.
You have to. So, see, that's the thing. You have to get that money down to allow them to bring these players in, so that when the money goes back up, it's still underneath the level.
Just registered Aguero. They've just registered Aguero. That's how crazy it's getting handled at Barcelona.
Absolutely mental. Free words says Gav, man, only got love for you, buddy. Yeah, well, that'll change. When the next show starts and you start having a go at me. But I like it. I'm being honest. The one thing I will say about Free Word and others in this chat, they're very honest and they stick to what they're saying, but they're both respectful at the same time. So I'm good with that. I'm only messing with your Free Word. Joshua Pritchard said Griezmann is alone with a 40 million by obligation. Jeez, that's for nothing. Although he's fell off a cliff at Barcelona, but 40 million euros.
You would take the chance for 40 million.
Absolutely,
I thought the wages was the biggest problem.
The wages was huge because he was on 800 grand a week at Barcelona.
And I'd say, just laugh at the town. Someone says he must grand a week. That's
he must have taken a 60% wage cut to go there.
I do think he does get on. I don't know how it ended, but I think he had the good years at Atletico. So I feel like he maybe just wanted to get out of Barcelona and start playing football again and actually start, because he was good there. Maybe get
Kevin
back.
Kevin Ball said it's not obligated; it's an option. But I think I wouldn't see many teams. I wouldn't see many teams not taking up that option of 40 million euros. And even at that, he's getting a move anyway, because now every club in the land knows it's 40 million is the number.
Yeah.
So he'll have his pick of clubs if Atletico don't pull the trigger on that.
Can I ask you a question, Gav? Sorry, before transfer, just not a transfer question. You know what I've always found the biggest problem with Griezmann is, I don't, when you ask me what's his best position, now to me I'd think Sociedad and Atletico, he kind of played behind the striker, maybe a second striker role. I thought he was really good there. Do you agree? Because I feel like Barcelona, and I'm not saying that's maybe his fault, like he'd be more adaptable, but where do you think his best position is? That's maybe what I've found his biggest issues been the last couple of years.
I think you're right. I think off a main striker is probably his best position. I don't know how well he works out wide. But look, there's always way to work that. Like, you just, if you want to play a 4-2-3-1, you can, and just play him as the one behind the striker, and he nearly becomes that second striker, even though on the team sheet he looks like a number 10. It's look, I don't know. Like, I think it's very hard to judge Griezmann on his Barcelona career. I thought he was excellent at Sociedad, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was great at Sociedad.
Yeah, and he was really, really so good at Atletico. And when you're seeing a lot of his goals at Atletico, it was like great link up with the front man and getting in behind. And
Bayern Munich away, I remember. That was good.
Loads of good stuff he done there, but you never know. He's a really, really good player. I just think I think it was such a wrong move for him.
I don't know why Barcelona went for him as well. It
wasn't even that. The players that he had, and I know you have to back yourself, don't get me wrong. Antoine Griezmann is going to back himself as one of the best around. But when he was going into that Barcelona side, didn't he have he had Messi, he had Suarez. I think
they bought Dembele. I don't know.
Yeah, Dembele, because Neymar had gone, hadn't he? So they had some real talent.
Coutinho as well.
Yeah, Coutinho, and his name is coming up. His name is coming up now, saying should we make a smart, a cute move for him? I can't see it. I think the biggest issue with Coutinho is the way he left Liverpool, and I think Klopp is personally upset over that. And the second thing is, I think he's had 2 knee injuries in the last 6-8 months, and I don't think that helps when people are looking for him. Alistair Little says a lack of homegrown spots was the excuse put out there. Do you think the journalists, and he uses that word or that term loosely, should see through what they are briefed by the club? I don't know what you think of this, Conroy, but I don't know how much they're getting briefed. I don't know how much they're getting briefed.
I hear what Alistair's saying, because I do feel like sometimes some stuff's fed through, but I'll be honest, mate, see, since I want to say, maybe not Van Dijk, but maybe Thiago, see, since then, probably since Van Dijk, but the Thiago ones, when I realised, I don't think they're getting briefed a lot, because I remember quite a few journalists saying this is not going to happen, and then what do you know, it's sorted and it's sealed. I do feel like Liverpool are definitely more secretive when it comes to their business. I don't think they give much away, but yeah, possibly, mate. I do think you'll know better, Gav. But see, before the last couple of years, I feel like they maybe did inform more than they should have. Whereas since Van Dijk, especially, I think since they got the tapping up incident with Van Dijk at Blackpool, I think they've tried to keep their cards close to their chest. So I would agree with you there. I feel like they've not maybe fed much information. I feel like what's happening now is we're just trying to come up with reasons why and theories on it. But it's a fair point. Fair point, Alistair. It'll be interesting to see if there's any more comes out of it if we don't sign anybody, which it looks like that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, because Paul Hardwick says there was nothing to brief, but you see that's what I'm saying. Like, there's nothing to brief. That's an absolutely fair point from Paul. That's an absolutely fair point. What I'm saying is, if you look at the stories that have come out, and I don't have to name the journalists, I'm sure all of them have written something about Liverpool, but it was like the first thing was like, Liverpool make top 4 and they're going to do this, and then they make top 4 and it's like Liverpool are going to do this, that, and the other, and Liverpool want a midfielder, a centre back, a midfielder, and a striker. They got a centre back. They definitely want a centre midfielder and a striker. Then it was like, they're not too sure if they want a midfielder because this, and then they feel everything seemed to change all the time, but there was nothing from Liverpool. Nothing from Liverpool. And Paul's right, there was nothing that was briefed, but that's what I'm saying. They were just putting this stuff out there as if it was on good authority, and it wasn't. And I go back again to the Jordan Henderson stuff. The Jordan Henderson stuff came out and it was like, it's believed and it's rumoured. That's all they kept saying. Believed and rumoured, believed and rumoured. And that was used in that piece on numerous occasions, right? And nobody got a quote. Not even to say, this is a quote from a contact from Jordan Henderson's side or the club side. You don't have to name them, so it doesn't really matter. And nothing was said. And it was like, there's big problems there, and this player and that player, or this team and that team are watching. And next thing, Jordan Henderson signs a contract.
Yeah, no, I didn't believe that.
And Paul's right. Paul's right in the sense that there was nothing to brief, but I don't even know if there was something that he briefed them. Yeah,
if they've maybe just taken that, taken a little bit.
The biggest proof in the pudding would be if in the next 80 minutes or 70 minutes, Liverpool come out and announce a signing. And then you would 100% know that nobody is getting briefed nowhere. And that's the truth. Matt Lardner says, Gav, why are you so certain Klopp will go in 2 years and 3 years, Matt? But you've just typed that wrong. 100% he could go, but would he get a better club job than Liverpool and would be too young and bored to go for an international job? I think this. I just have a feeling Klopp would be 8 years at Liverpool. It's the longest it would be the longest he would have been at any of his clubs, including Mainz or Dortmund. And I just think maybe the way it's setting up now and stuff like that. Klopp just sees that as the end of the cycle. You know what I mean?
He might just want a sabbatical. He might not want to jump into a job. He might just want a break.
I think 2024 is quite crucial because he extends to 2024, and that's when, when you're looking at there's a European Championships or a World Cup on in that year. I know that. It would be Euros, wouldn't it, in 2024? And usually what you see is after those tournaments, you see managers leaving international jobs and him taking over. And he might want the German job and, more time with his family. He values his family usually, and you have to remember his kids, although I think one of them might be early 20s, but still, they're still living in another country. They might want to go back to Germany.
Yeah.
It's like me or you going and living in England for 8 years, but you want to come back for your family and stuff like that. Not even his wife and kids, the rest of his family that may live, close to him in Germany. He wants to get back to them and be close to them. And I think the death of his mother, the fact that he couldn't go back, that probably leaves him with a bit of he feels a bit detached from things that are important to him. You have to take that into consideration as well. I'd love Klopp to turn around and say I'm staying at 2027, and then we start, and then on top of that, he looks for a rebuild and he gets back for a rebuild, and we all have a great time. But yeah. I just have a feeling that extension seems to drag out a little bit, and 2024 just seems to me like the limit. And I'd love to be nothing. I'd love to be 200% wrong, Matthew. I really would, but that's just how I feel on it.
Yeah, I do feel like we could sometimes, listen, I'm not going to get into this today, but at times maybe it's just been reactive. I do think we can make it easier for one of the best managers we've ever had and definitely currently in the world. But that's too big a debate for today. But yeah, at times I don't know if maybe he likes that though. He likes the teams he's been at. He obviously likes the teams like Dortmund in mind. So wants the community, wants that kind of to do it. He would call it the right way. But that right way doesn't mean sell to buy. It just means he doesn't want to just keep throwing money at something until it pays off. If he wants to build something special, I think he's done that. But that's maybe that'll be a debate for another day, Gav. But I agree with you. I want him to stay as long as he's here. And I feel like we're very, very fortunate that the kind of paths aligned with Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool at the time he was available. And thankfully, well, FSG chose, I know it was between him and Ancelotti, and I think it was maybe more to do with the model that Klopp was happy with that, but thankfully he chose us. And yeah, I mean, what a manager. I know we're not going to bore people with that today, but just what a manager. And yeah, unbelievable. And I wouldn't mind if he took a break for a year, Gav, and then came back. He can do that if he wants.
Yeah, I couldn't see that happening.
That doesn't happen in football.
No, it doesn't.
It flies on, doesn't it? That's football.
Yeah, and I think it could be a case where I don't think he needs to use the word sabbatical. I think he just runs down his contract and says, look, I'm done. And I go off. And if someone comes up in a year's time, a bit like when he left Dortmund and he was taking a sabbatical, but Liverpool come up was too good to turn down. For me, I could only see Klopp doing 2 jobs if he left Liverpool. Bayern Munich.
See, I don't think he'd do Bayern Munich, Gav.
I think he would. I think he would. I think he would. I think.
You don't think that's what he's against, though, in the sense I'm not saying Bayern Munich are as monopoly, but in that league they are, and how many players? But maybe he doesn't think about it like that. I was thinking with the Dortmund connection, but you know what? That's actually quite a long time ago now, so you might be right.
Yeah, he'd be nearly 10 years away from Dortmund, and but I think that if I was a betting man, I think it'd be the German national job.
Do you think he'd ever go back to Dortmund, Gav?
He could do, and maybe I'm wrong on Bayern. Like Dean Regan saying he hates Bayern. He might do. I just think it's just one of those. But I think the German job, I would say, when Klopp finishes Russ, would he be mid-50s? You know, I think he's a guy that enjoys his family time. He enjoys his time off.
I can't see him being in it till he's 70-year-old.
No, I can't see it either.
That long.
And I think the German national job for a 3 or 4 year period where he has them a certain amount of times of the year and he's off the other times, I think it's suiting down to the ground. And I think he did a brilliant job at Germany, and I think that'd be it then. And if you look at it, he done a club that are really close to his heart in Mainz. He does Dortmund, who are a huge club in Germany. He goes and manages for him the biggest club in England in Liverpool and one of the biggest clubs in the world. And then he comes back and manages his national team. I think as such a down to earth guy that values achievements and stuff like that, I think that would be the one that suit him.
Yeah, I think your point, Gav, on like the family time. I believe Jurgen Klopp loves football and it's probably a bit of obsessive, but I do feel like you say when he took the Liverpool job, it was too good to turn down. I don't know if in his mind the football teams there's that many. The ones you listed, I feel like to him that to me sounds like Jurgen Klopp would do that and quite happily retire. And quite happily, maybe be a visit is to be a pundit now and again. But to me, I feel like he won't be in the game till he's 75, not 67, 65, 70. I feel like he would just be, when he's content, I think, unlike others, that'll be him. And I could see that because, as you said, I mean, you know, he loves his family, of course. He's spending time with his family. Every summer, you see him going away. And as you said, I know it's a good point about his mother as well. I feel like he might want to maybe finish a little bit earlier and just enjoy his time off and really just spend time with his family. And he's grown up and enjoy that. And I feel like the Bayern one maybe, but for me, I could see if it was, what was it, Mainz, Dortmund, Liverpool and Germany, I think he would call it a day after that. Yeah.
I would agree. I'm just looking up the Sky Transfer Centre here, so just a couple of
there was another point as well. Another one was saying, just so we get onto it was a good comment earlier, was saying about PSG not selling Mbappe. So I've wrote that down, Gav. We'll talk about that when we get time.
We will get to that now in a second. It looks like Everton are trying to sign Solomon Rondon. They're just waiting on an official announcement there. Quotes there says Rafa Benitez wanted to work with him again, and Everton needed another striker in after allowing Moise Kean to return to Juventus. They wanted another option as a backup for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They've been looking at a right back, but it looks like Rondon will be the only player going to Everton on this deadline day. What else is there? The break just a couple of minutes ago, it's been confirmed. Odsonne Edouard to Celtic, or from Celtic to Palace on a 4-year deal with the option for a 5th. There's nothing really else coming up there at the moment. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. There's the Barcelona, Atletico Madrid stuff. An initial loan with an obligation to buy for 40 million, according to
That's
Sky
a
in
good
Italy.
deal. That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's an obligation as opposed to a option. Discussions between Leicester City and Newcastle over a loan deal for Hamza Chowdhury has broken down. The midfielder staying at the King Power. Steve Bruce was desperate to bring him to St James's Park, but Leicester despite Leicester offering compromises in terms of Chowdhury's wages, nothing could be reached. Well, he'd be fucking mad to go there anyway. I'm trying to see. I'll just keep updating this as we go. And as I said, anyone in the chat that sees anything that comes up, whether it be on Sky, whether it be on anywhere else, let us know. But go on, you want to talk Mbappe?
Before that, the only thing, Gav, about the transfer window, see, nowadays you've got loopholes in the sense of, see, 10 to 11, if they can prove that it's been signed, they get extension.
Yeah, it's all about paperwork arriving in by 11 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah, never used to. I think, well, I might be wrong, but in my memory, it was a case of you had to have a lot done. But now I think there's a few wee loopholes. Teams can get away with it.
Yeah, well, Liam Carter says FSG not selling. They will sell the entire FSG portfolio as one. Red Bull's investment makes it hard to sell each part individually. I know where you're coming from, Liam, but I think if someone comes in with the right money for Liverpool or any other part of the portfolio, they'll make it a lot easier to sell it. They'll find a way. But look, we don't know. It was just something. It was a conversation I was having with Callum from Coppish earlier, and kind of the point he was making,
made sense, yeah.
Thing. Red Steve, breaking news. He says, Gav, you missed some cracking veg chat. Could yet be the highlight of Liverpool's transfer deadline day. Where did I miss the veg chat? Was it in here? There's so many comments going in. It might have been about. Oh yeah, I know what it was about. I know where you're going with that. Is there any other veg chat throwing in? I'm up for it. Especially on a day like today when Liverpool are just giving contracts out. We can talk veg, no issue.
Yeah, so Gav, we're going to talk about the PSG there. The comment earlier was asking about, so PSG looks like there was a few rumours last night that Real Madrid were going to come in with apparently a 200 million bid, which is ludicrous considering you can sign him on a pre-contract in 6 months' time for Kylian Mbappe. Question for you, Gav. It was a rumoured, I think it was 160 or 180. I think it was 160, the bid for Mbappe, and PSG turned it down. Get your thoughts on that, because there's both sides of it on the radio today. Folk were saying PSG were insane for not selling him because he's only got 6 months left, or a year, but they can sign a pre-contract in 6 months. And the same to Madrid for offering that amount of money when they can sign him in a pre-contract in 6 months. So what is it, 220 bid, Kev? I don't know if it's...
Yeah, Kev reckons, I think the number was 220 million euros. Which is around 180-ish million pounds.
So it was 20 million more pounds. There you go.
Yeah. I think it was just a game of chess. I genuinely do, because as I seen someone earlier saying, why didn't PSG just say yeah to it, and then see if Madrid can go and get there? Where are they going to go and find 180 million pound from? And Dean Regan says there, Mbappe's turned down. Mbappe has turned down 860 grand a week to stay. Mbappe, I don't think Mbappe is doing this for money. I think he's a bit bored in France.
Well, but if
I think that's the case.
Mate,
now, don't be wrong. It's not like he's going to go and play for Real Madrid for a fiver. He's going to get handsomely paid. But I think he's a bit bored in France, and I think PSG have that much money that sort of money means nothing to them. They'd rather keep Mbappe with Messi for a year. And if he goes on a free, he goes on a free. Shit happens. The sort of way. That's just the way they are. But like anyone, unless City done it, where they have money that they just don't care, you'd be mad to be spending that money on him now. Literally in 4 months' time, you can literally turn around and go, here's the amount of money you're getting. We'll give you 400, 500 grand a week, and we give you 40 million for signing on. It's 40 million quid. And then he gets 20 million fucking quid a year for 6 years. He doesn't have to play football again if he doesn't want to. But everyone will be lining up in January to try to get him. But realistically, it's probably two clubs that will probably go in, probably bid on him, and that'd be Real Madrid for me and Manchester City.
Yeah, yes. As I say, I mentioned to you, I think actually on WhatsApp, Gav, I was saying Listen, Messi, people know how I feel about Messi. Unbelievable. For me, the greatest. But what I would say is that PSG team in that front three do not have pace. They do not have pace. And as great as they are, they'll beat a lot of teams. But when it comes to the close and small margins in games, they do need pace in behind. Neymar's not fast. Messi's never been rapid, but he'll drop deep a lot of the time to find that ball over the top. I can understand why PSG, no, we're keeping you for a year because we need to see how this goes for a year because this could be lethal if it's done right. Now, I've got queries on if Pochettino can actually get that team to play as a team. Very poor discipline when it comes to when the going gets tough, as you'd say. Numerous examples of that. Paredes' challenge the other night should have been a red card, I thought. He would do your head, and I wouldn't have him anywhere near my club. I was going to say he just can't control his temper, that guy, and he's not worth the hassle. But on that, I think Mbappe's actually quite important. Obviously, he's important because he's a great player. But you say the question, Neymar not fast. But see, if you watch Neymar a lot of the time, I'm not saying he's not great, quick, right? But he doesn't actually break. As far when I've watched him the other night and when I've watched him previously, he likes to get the ball deep, a bit like Messi. He's not looking to break the lines where he's running, whereas Mbappe is. And that's why I think Mbappe's important. I could be proved wrong, but that's just how I see it. And I feel like they're going to take the chance. So I agree, Gav. It just seems to me that PSG will be like, well, we don't need that money and we want this front three to be together. I can't understand Kylian Mbappe not wanting to play with Messi for a year, though. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
That's a strange one.
Yeah, it is a strange one. Like, when he looks at it, he sees he'd be literally playing up front with Neymar and Messi. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's literally him being Suarez from a couple of years ago.
Exactly. They're not the same age, but Suarez scored 50 odd goals that season.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, I'm not too sure if he's trying to push the girl PSG right now, but he's just saying to them, well, look, if you don't want to sell me, fine. But I'm not signing another deal because I have ambition to go to wherever it might be, Real Madrid being the obvious destination, because I want to play in Spain. I think it is a stronger league. But
is right now the right moment for that, Gav? What I mean is, like you say, it's a stronger league, and obviously, it is a better league than France. However, it's not in a great state right now, commercially and probably on the park as well. And you're going to a Madrid team where, right, he's going to back his ego. But look at Hazard. I'm not saying that's going to happen to him, but
yeah,
it's not guaranteed to go smoothly. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's not guaranteed to go smoothly, but I think what's happened with Real Madrid and Barcelona makes it a more competitive league. So, it's more competitive than France, even in the state it's in. But he's going over now, and he might have less games where it's absolutely rolling over teams, and he improves because of that. He's not a one-dimensional person, Kylian Mbappe. Like, everyone just thinks he's this massive talent that is worth this amount of money. He can go and get all this money, but he has to be looking at it in a case of achievements he wants to make. Real Madrid are a bigger club than Paris Saint-Germain, always will be. So I want to play for arguably one of the big, in the top couple of teams in the world, which Real Madrid are, and I want to play for them. And I want to improve, and I want to sample life in Spain, and I want it's all that sort of stuff. There's loads of different caveats to it. When it comes down to it, he's every right to turn around and go, I've no problem playing here for another year, but I'm not signing another deal. If you want to accept the deal from Real Madrid, go ahead. No skin off my nose. And if you don't, I'll sign a deal in January and I'll be gone next June.
Yeah, no, I get that. And some of the comments say want to play with Benzema, but I appreciate that, folks. But listen, it's 5 minutes with Lionel Messi will teach you more than a year of playing in any team for me. And it's just people are saying his ego, and maybe that might be Kylian Mbappe's downfall because the French Euro didn't go too well because of someone's ego, the rumours were saying. So maybe this Mbappe for me has still got a lot to do to get anywhere near the levels he wants to do. Intelligence-wise, his movement's pretty good. But as you say, Gav, maybe, yeah, I get that. He wants to go to Spain, but it's a strange one. Maybe he wasn't desperate to leave. Maybe he was like, as you said, I'm happy to do either. But for me, I think most players, you say, being overshadowed. Mbappe's still a kid when it comes to football. Can learn a lot of Lionel Messi for a year. It's just a strange one. Don't get it. Look at Neymar. Neymar thought he could go to Messi's shadow and go to a team himself, and that didn't quite work out as well as it could have. So it's an interesting one. But we'll see. Whatever it is, I don't think he's going to be coming to Liverpool. That's the main thing, Mbappe. That's the main thing.
Sim says, all Sim is saying is that Mbappe is obviously coming to Liverpool, and then he backs it up and he says, would you keep Salah for 1 year and let him go for free? I think this is in relation to Mbappe. Well, it's a different situation, but it's a different thing altogether. This is a club that just have an unmeasurable amount of money.
Yeah, and coming in constantly as well.
Yeah, and they look at it and they say to themselves, like, literally, they're going to do massive campaigns with Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe on them, and they're going to make masses of money from it. So when you actually get it down and people go 220 million, and they're turning that down, like, it just shows how much wrong with football. They will make masses of money off them three this season. Masses of money.
They made, with Messi signing, Gav, they made 120 million in the first week because Michael Jordan had, I think, he's got a small percentage. He made 6 million off shares in PSG. So if that just shows you, you know,
but there you go. You know, and they'll make masses of money. And even if they come up 100 million short, it's worth it because they've kept Kylian Mbappe for another year. And another thing in this is they don't want to show any sort of weakness to the likes of Real Madrid, because you have to remember one of the biggest kills in football was when they just went and gave Neymar a check and said, listen, write the amount on it that you need to get yourself out, and we'll do that. That's what happened. You know, and it was a massive thing what they done to Barcelona. So they don't want to be seen to be done by Barcelona's rivals by being bullied, and they don't want to be bullied.
More their ego as well when it comes into it, the club's ego, you know, how they're viewed.
100%.
It's interesting, that one. And yeah, we'll not get into what PSG. We can maybe do that in another video about the Champions League this season. But yeah, it's going to be a good one. I don't know if there's any more updates, Gav, on any transfers.
Sky Sports are saying that Chelsea have agreed a deal with Sol. Time is running out to get the paperwork done. Won't be a problem. The player, Chelsea and Atletico are all in agreement. If everyone's working hard to get it done, Chelsea will pay €4 million as a loan fee, and then they have an option to sign him permanently next summer for €35 million. The player is in Madrid, but the deal can be done. Paul Merson is talking about people, so we'll ignore that because Paul Merson's mental. No, that's it. Let me see. Laura Duffy says Lookman is a good get for Leicester. Is this Adamola Lookman that was at Fulham?
Yeah. I heard him earlier before he came on. He was at the stadium or the training ground. You think it was the stadium he was at, and it looked like that was going to happen. And I actually think that is a good signing for Leicester if it's been confirmed.
I'm immediately trying to think of the wide options. Because I know
they recently got rid of Damari Gray. Like, that was a year and a half ago.
Yeah. And Dennis Pratt is a centre midfielder. He's gone.
He's a good player, very good player. Dennis Pratt, he's underrated. Yeah. Very, very good player. Their wide options are, Gav, they've got Harvey Barnes. You've got Albrighton, who's obviously aging quite a bit. I'm trying to think who else you've got in there. You've got Madison's not really a winger.
Yeah,
off the top of my head. And Perez as well.
Yeah, Jose Perez, which I don't really rate. But I don't know. You see, he could do something where he could stick Lookman down the left and he could go with Harvey Barnes down the right and invert him like a lot of teams do.
Yeah, Lookman's good. I like Lookman.
Yeah, so it's that's an interesting one. I didn't know anything about that. X86 guy says, I guess the 10 p.m. fancy is over. Yeah, it's gone 10 past 10. And nothing has happened with regards to Liverpool. We are keeping an eye on Sky and others to see if anything pops up. But it just seems to be a lot of quotes from different people.
Do you know how bad it got, Gav, earlier? See on like the kind of Liverpool channels on Twitter, it was like non-LFC news, non-LFC.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I don't know. I'd love to know what people's thoughts are. Like, take the whole FSG thing out of it. Like, and we end this window where we are right now. What does your expectations change for the season? Like, do you decide, right? We could only kind of challenge if we brought in two players. If we bring in two players, we can only challenge. Or do you feel that? Are you like me? Or you feel we can challenge, but two players would have made us really, 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 really solid with regards to the two big competitions this season? Like, Conroy, where do you stand on it?
I just think for me, we just needed that little bit of injection in the team. I can accept the attacker, as I said, maybe just the right one wasn't there, but I feel like we do need a centre mid. I feel like I think Elliott's done brilliant, but we have to kind of rein it in a little bit, in my opinion, at Elliott. Like, he will get games, but we can't put I feel like we did need a centre mid. Basuma, Tom Bolland's asking where's the jingles now. Just Mowie's in another room now.
He's not allowed in on transfer deadline day.
No, too serious. But yeah, as a surprising announcement, Conroy's cat. I'll show you Mowie at the end of the stream. If Gav reminds me, I'll show you Mowie.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, mate, I agree, man. I've got to be honest, not gonna lie, I'm a wee bit deflated, Gav, even though I knew this was coming. I just feel I feel like, see what happened against Chelsea might not happen all season, but it's definitely going to catch us at some games. And definitely can't go for, as us, we would say, the major ones as the Champions League and the Premier League. It's going to catch us. I just think it will. There's just, for me, I completely agree. We can win. We can go for one of them, I feel. And if Klopp can pull that off, my God, what we're competing against. And I'm not doing the fairy tale story because I know that gets annoying. But as a manager, I sometimes feel like, and as you said, Gav, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But it can't be expected, now this was exaggeration, but to turn water into wine all the time. And what I mean by that is, like playing Elliott, for example, try to, putting a lot of trust in him, bringing Jones into the team. I just feel like he could do with a little bit of a hand here. And a bit like January with the centre-back, I know we got it in eventually, that I felt like, I think a bit let down tonight, and I feel like it should have happened, Gav. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. It should have happened. I don't think there's much excuses for this one. And as Shawnee said earlier with a great comment, he said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he basically said you can't really make any excuses for not having signed at least one in this window.
Yeah, he felt that anyone that has a grievance against FSG is fairly, they've a right to.
It's not exaggerated tonight. There's quite a bit of substance behind it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people upset, and you have every right to be. You've every right to be it. And I'm upset on a footballing sense. Like, I don't go as far as wanting the owners out, because I think that's a very dangerous game to play. I'll be honest. Because I worry, I'm not saying they're perfect. They're far from it. No owners in football are perfect. But I worry where the next step is, simply because of the amount of money involved. If Liverpool were mid-ranking and weren't paying much wages and they were getting a snip in today's market, I wouldn't be so worried, because you could get someone that really wants to invest and go in and do stuff like that. But the only way for me that this club has changed hands is either investment from probably Russia or the Middle East, and with that becomes loads of other baggage, the sort of way, and that's other stuff you have to that's the other stuff, like Monty says there. I'm going to read this out because I want to get another comment in. When the owner shown ambitions to feel the fans will get disheartened. To target this season's top four, nothing more. We love the club no matter what. You'll never walk alone. That's very true. But John says, Gav, why do we talk about these owners like they can't be upgraded on? I'm not saying they can't be upgraded on with regards to spend and spending power, financial power. What I mean by that is, I think they can absolutely be upgraded on that, but I think there's other baggage that will come with that. And, I'm talking like human rights fucking scenarios around certain owners, and, financial fucking irregularities with other owners. And I'm going to be honest with you, owners of football clubs have been targeted about this stuff, all right? And quite rightfully so in some cases. But I can guarantee if Liverpool brought in an owner and there was anything about, human rights or anything like that, because it's Liverpool, it would never ever stop. It would be relentless from the media, and that would do nobody any favors in the long run. And I'm not saying that Liverpool can't get an owner that could invest. I'm not saying that, but I think it'll get to the stage where you'd nearly end up with a Man City owner. That's what I feel. I think that's the only logical step, because you're looking at £3 billion or something to buy this club. And I know 3 billion to all these massive multi-billionaires is nothing, but what return are they getting on the investment for 3 billion? Because they're not going to make that money back. They're not going to make that money back unless they sell it. Okay? And in order to sell it, they're going to have to pump a load of money in. So you're probably nearly getting some of that money is nearly irrelevant. I think it's very hard to sustain such a big asset and invest your own money in it without it being a hobby is the wrong word, but without it being something that is just
like
a passion of yours, a passion of yours to a certain extent, but you're not looking for your money back. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's a bit of a weird one, the sort of way. And look, I'm not here to tell you the FSG are the best owners you've ever seen. They're most certainly better than the last ones, but I'm not saying they're absolutely perfect. But I think there's a lot of things you have to think about when it comes to new owners. Not saying they can't be improved upon, because
There's
I'm not
always
here. I'm not here
someone,
to.
but it's not as easy when you're worth 3 billion from 400 million.
Exactly,
So that's a good point.
exactly. If this club was worth $500 million, you could get someone in and go, do you know what? This guy has a 3 billion quid plan in place, and that could really catapult us. And he'd make it. He's going to invest money, but he's going to get his money back. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas 3 billion, even though someone might be worth 200 billion, 3 billion, they know when that goes in, because they've so much money, they know the asset is so strong at the moment that how do you make your money back? And they're not looking to make their money back. So then you're getting into the whole thing of, invest in massive amount of money because it's a passion and it's a hobby, as some people will call it. It's there's a lot to it. I think there is a lot to it, and it's just one of those things. And people will say, like John O follows it up and says Chelsea and City fans don't care about the baggage of their owners; they care about winning. Sorry, but our fan base gets caught up and doing things the right way. That took us 30 years to win a league. Yeah, I understand that, but it's not only doing things the right way. It's the right way. It can mean a lot of things, Jono. We didn't do anything. The right way is like on principle. You're talking in the right way. There's also the right way of doing things business wise, and Liverpool didn't do that for a long time. And the reason United left them behind is because United had a vision in the early 90s where they were going to build up Old Trafford and they were going to go and market themselves, and they were going to absolutely jump on the Premier League when it was right at the tip of that wave, and they were going to ride it, and that's what they've done. Chelsea and City, they don't care about the baggage. Well, they don't, because Chelsea and City never had mass success, so they're just delighted with themselves. You know what I mean? I think clubs with a bit more class about them, I think a bit more history to them, a bit more, success before they got that money that they're talking about. I think clubs like that do look at how their standing is in football and stuff like that. And that's just the way it is. Like, that's the way I feel about it. I could be wrong, be absolutely wrong, and people can tell me that. But I just look at it and I think to myself, not perfect, but at the same time, you have to be a little bit wary of where it's going to go next. And I think when you look back at David Moore's Rick Parry and trying to sell the club in the mid 2000s, and had an awful experience with the DHC, I think they were called. They were ordering steel and all sorts of stuff for stadiums, and it fell through. It was appalling the way it went on. And then when they look at what they done, and that was at a time when that money wasn't a huge amount of money that the club was bought for, but it was sold to somebody that was two idiots. Do you know what I mean? Idiots. The sort of way. And that's why I suppose that's probably me being a bit scared by that, where I kind of go, oh, another change of ownership. The one before this one was fucking dodgy and it was horrible. It was horrible. And that's where I kind of maybe there's a few it's, for me, it's...
No, I hear what you're saying, Gav. I feel like there's a balance. I feel like it's a case of, right, we don't want to be to one extreme or the other. Maybe it shouldn't be a case of we need to be obsessed about the way doing things, but at the same time, I think someone said you want to keep the soul. I understand sometimes that gets a bit annoying because you're seeing teams around you do that, and I do understand that. For me, the most frustrating thing, Gav, is I think genuinely, with the way things are, if we either had the current owners put a bit more money in, or a different owner who I'm not expecting Mbappe signings. People might want that. I would be quite content with just now and again, just to refresh and put a bit more injection into the squad, just to keep it so we're working with and we can keep doing it with the way we're doing it. However, I do feel like it's a missed opportunity sometimes not doing it and not adding that a little bit more in. I'm not expecting 120 million every summer. Just a bit of injection, which is obvious we need. And other people might feel different. They might want Man City money and they want to do it that way. And you know what? That's fair enough if you want that. But I don't know. I don't know what it is, mate. I feel like it's, as you say, with previous owners, you've maybe got this. And it's funny with the way the model, as much as it annoys me, see when it comes off, it's great. You're like, wow, Jota for that price looks really great now. Salah for that price, Mane. But at the same time, you could just have a little bit more money. For me, it's a balance. But I don't know if there is a balance out there. As you said, Gav, once you're worth 3 billion, the only winner, if the club is sold, well, straight away it's going to be FSG because they've made a profit. Look, that profit's ridiculous, from 400 million to 3 billion.
Yeah, and the only other way that I can see FSG doing it, unless you have this mega money is to leverage debt against the club. You know, and Manchester United is one of the biggest money making machines in the world. You know, football wise, leverage debt against the club. They do. They have a £450 million debt at the club, but that won't matter to the Glazers because the Glazers bought Manchester United on a loan. So basically, they're just paying back interest on loans, and they own the club. So if Manchester United are worth £4 billion, someone comes in and says it's worth £4,000, pay us 4, and the Glazers just take the 4. They pay off the 440 million. They walk away with 3.6. So they don't care about that. Do you know what I mean? They don't care about debt. Now you could argue that FSG could turn around and go, let's leverage 300 million debt against the club, and when we get our 3 billion, we'll pay it back. And you could argue that, but that's not the route to go down. It's never been the model with FSG, ever. It's never been the model. The model has always been to spend what you get or what you earn, and that's what they do. And, you know, that's just the model. There's nothing you can do about that model. It doesn't work all the time. I agree with you. And I've said it. I think an injection this summer is, and people would say, how could you inject this summer? You know, because the COVID stuff, it's the perfect time to inject. You're at your lowest with regards to what you're going to lose. Throw a few more quid on top of it if you have to, right? Because you're going to make it back starting next year. You know, even some way through this season, everything's going to get completely back to normal, money and everything else, and everyone's good to go. It's just not what they do, and we just have to come to terms with that. And some will say, you know, I'm not looking for 150 million, but you're probably looking around 100 million for if you wanted to bring 2 players in that could improve what we're doing at the moment. I don't go along with this whole squad players in depth. Bring players in that are genuinely going to challenge. I don't want to bring someone in and go, he's a midfielder, and if everyone else gets injured, he'd play. I don't go along with that. So you're probably looking at 100 million quid. And with reports that we're going to possibly 130 million losses because of COVID. That's what we're going to post, or we have posted, or wherever it might be. People will look and go, they've lost 130 million. Yeah, they have. But there is an argument out there to say, look, throw another 50 on it and bring in a player, and we'll make it back and we get it there and stuff. They just won't leverage debt against the club. They just simply won't. Like Shaka says here, Gav, you're making too many excuses for it. Didn't they fund the Trump campaign where Liverpool FC and there's lots of billionaires lining up the boys? Who are? Who's lining up the boys? I've never seen anyone lined up the boys. Only mad rumours of China and Amanda Staveley. And I'm not making excuse for FSG. And anyone that's actually regular in here will know I don't make excuses for FSG. And I've said this numerous times before. I've said it before. If they do things well, fair play to them. If they don't, criticise them. If they rectify it, fair enough, but the criticism was fair. And if they do things badly, really badly, in this case where people do feel that they have, absolutely have a go at them. All I'm saying is, from a personal point of view, I look at this from a footballing term, because you know what FSG do overall, Liverpool, let me put it this way, Liverpool win a league title, and I watched them lift that, right, in an empty stadium, right, fair enough. When they're lifting that, I don't give a second fucking thought to FSG. All I think about is Klopp, the staff, the players, and the fans. That's it. That's all I give a shit about, right? So I'm not saying I ignore what they do, because that's naive what to do, Shaka. That's a naive thing to do. What I am saying is that you can talk about them, you can criticise them, and you can also put forward an option or an opinion that might not be as extreme as get them out, and it's still not making excuses about them. I'm not making excuses for them. I don't need to. I don't need to make excuses for FSG. Why would I? If I make an excuse for FSG, it's not going to change anything that FSG does. And they're not going to ring me and go, thanks for making that excuse. If I have a go with them, they're not going to ring me and go, here we're not letting you fucking interview someone for the club because you said this. So fucking what? You know what I mean? I wouldn't make excuses. I wouldn't make excuses for FSG. I completely understand where people are coming from with regards to this transfer window. And for me personally, I think they're 1 or 2 players short. Having said that, right, you have to question, and rightly so, you have to question, because you don't know the actual truth, right? We don't know if that's FSG just telling Klopp there's no money. We don't know if FSG have made money available and Klopp has decided, well, with that money available, I can't find anyone that I want. I just don't want, right? Or the two of them have sat down and went, there is this money available. Who would you like? I want him. And they've decided against it as a team, as a pair, as a group. that gets all this credit over the last couple of years. We don't know. So, like Jono says, FSG have hamstrung Klopp. Possibly. Absolutely. They could have. All I'm saying is, for me, if you have an opinion on FSG, there is no issue there. I have no issue with anyone's opinion on FSG. I'm just giving mine. But I hate being accused of making excuses for FSG because I don't. And anyone in this chat knows that I don't.
No, you're not an apologist at all, Gav. I've watched a lot of you before I thankfully and gratefully got on the channel. That was definitely not the case. You judged every situation on its own merit and open about it, both sides of it. So absolutely. I just think everyone's just getting a bit annoyed and frustrated, and I completely understand. It's just a dejecting feeling. But let's be honest, folks, see tomorrow, the window's closed and we're not going to sign anyone, and we're just going to have to get behind the team because there's not any other options for it, is there? That's what we're going to have to do, and just bite our tongue and get on with it. And as you said, Gav, listen, we can still challenge for at least one of the major trophies this year.
That's where I think we are.
Can happen.
That's where I think we are, Hamstrung. I think with the history we have of and I'm not talking about those long-term injuries to VVD and Joe Gomez. I'm talking about the ones that continue to go on year. I think with that, I think it hurts us with regards to two tournaments that we should look to go and win. Now I completely wrong, and they could go and win both of them, or they could go out of the Champions League in the fucking group stages and finish 8th in the league. We don't know, but for me, just in my mind, I think two players would have come in and would have made us extremely solid on both fronts. Not only in quality, but in depth. And I keep using it as a little insurance policy against those players that have a track record of not being fit, and when others fall out, they're not available there to back up either. So it's one of those, and it's unfortunate, but I think you're right. Come tomorrow morning, and I'm not saying this all blows over, because I think people that are really upset over FSG are fairly committed to that. Yeah. Are committed to that, and that's their prerogative. But having said that, when the Leeds game comes around, I won't be giving FSG a second fucking thought when that whistle goes. I won't be sitting there going, oh, well, if we draw today, it's FSG's fault. If we draw today, it's because of those players on the pitch and Klopp. And that's where I kind of get tunnel vision with regards to it. It's like game by game, let's go for it and see where we get. But
I'm a bit like that as well, mate.
Yeah, I'd just be a lot more comfortable if you told me that we had if you told me that we had another attacking option, legitimate attacking option, and another legitimate midfielder, because what I feel may happen in midfield this season. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I wish we got Bissouma, because I feel like someone else might snap him up at the next opportunity, but we'll see.
Yeah, we never know. Monty Tariq said last 3 or 4 seasons, the winners had runs of 12, 13, 14 wins. I can only see 2 teams doing that. Either City win this by 12 points or Liverpool push, in his opinion. I think it'd be tighter than people think. Do you think it'd be tighter than people think?
I do, but I do, like, I'm not like, some fans just dismiss City when they lose a game, like against Spurs at home. Not a surprise, do that a lot, but the thing is, City will follow that up with 2 5-0 wins, which is not surprising. They've got a great style of play that is very effective in England at beating the teams who sit in against them or maybe not as good as them. I do think it'll be tighter in the sense of, I thought Man City, fair play to them. The league, I'm not down in their title win last year, but the league wasn't great. There was even Liverpool making the Champions League, Gav, was down to other teams not performing at the time when they could have took advantage. We still done amazing, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of teams didn't really take advantage. So I think even if City do that, I feel like if we've got our players back, we can perform. I do got to give credit to Chelsea, even though I know Gav hates Tuchel, but you've got to say, I think, like, there's a loving for, like, we were talking about Mason Mount last night. Absolutely agree. Mason Mount's an outstanding player, and for some reason, opposition fans seem to give him more credit than Chelsea. I don't see what he's phenomenal, I think, and that touch against us was outstanding. He's going to be some player. I mean, he's already good. So I think Chelsea will be a horse in there. And even with Lukaku being there, it doesn't matter what level you think he's at. If he's maybe, has moved to a new level in England, he's still going to beat a lot of teams. He'll score against a lot of teams and get them a lot of wins. Yeah. So I feel like, and then you've obviously got the United factor. And as you said earlier about Ronaldo, that brings its own ruthlessness. So United will be in the question. So there's 4 teams straight off the bat that I've not even spoke about the teams out with that who've signed quite well or actually in good form, who could also cause some trouble. Leicester's, West Ham. So for me, yeah, I think it'll be tighter. I might be going out on a limb here. I don't see it being a kind of 90, 96, 97 finish for the chat. Not as low maybe as 85. I could see it maybe between 85 and 85, maybe 87 this year. I feel like there'll be more points dropped, maybe even slightly lower than that.
A couple of things come in here. Tottenham and Serge Aurier are in talks over a mutual consent termination. If agreed, he becomes a free transfer and can join any club before the deadline. Dan James is saying thanks to United fans because he's gone to Leeds. Hector Bellerin has signed for Real Betis.
Yeah, that was one that was earlier today. That's a strange one. Bellerin came with such praise, didn't he? And started well at Arsenal, and then just
I think he's all over the place. He became a target for Arsenal fans, I think.
Yeah, became a scapegoat as well.
Yeah, a bit of a scapegoat. Fulham are closing in on a deal for Nathaniel Chalaboa from Watford. Talks about a permanent move are at an advanced stage, but initial loan has not been completely ruled out. That's the latest stuff that's come up. It's fairly quiet with regards to stuff like the Bellerin stuff. I think he was always expected to go. There was Takahiro Tomiyasu won't be flying over to the UK this evening as he can complete his transfer to Arsenal in Italy before heading off to international duty with Japan. So that's obviously the right back that's being linked there as well. It's fairly quiet. There's a half an hour to go in the window before we go. Darren Lyons, FSG, blatantly showing they're not interested in on-field improvement. Record commercial deals off the history of our club for what? Their own profit. Well, their own profit will only come when they sell the club. And Darren, I keep going back to this. They'll only spend what they earn. And when you look at it, their earnings are down. But I know where you're going, and it's hard for me to start his fucking answers without literally having to put in the caveat or literally flash someone up on the screen going, I'm not defending FSG, because I'm one of those people that try look at it from both sides. Like, we done a show last night, and Andy is very pro FSG. Phil just kind of watches them from an American.
Great show, by the way, Gav. I watched it earlier. Brilliant.
Yeah, it was good, but Andy is quite pro FSG. He is pro FSG. We know that. Phil looks at them as an American franchise because he's American sport mad, and he looks at their behavior, and it's very consistent with how American owners or franchises all over, America and in football, how they behave. And I was the one kind of saying, well, hold on this, and let's look at that. We try to make it as balanced as possible, and that's the way I am with them. I know. It's just. I like you said, I just take everything on face value and kind of look at them and try to assess them. And I don't try to go too extreme one way or too extreme the other. I try to stay not neutral, but I try to stay kind of a level-headed about it. And, there's part of me that I go, you know what, if you got someone in and they invested fucking £500 million in this club and didn't put our future in doubt, who wouldn't want it? But then I kind of look now, well, who's putting in £500 million and not fucking putting the club in doubt or not bringing some sort of baggage? What I kind of look at it a bit.
There could be one out there, but it's not as straightforward. But I do get both sides, Gav. It's one of them. It's like I feel like we're both frustrated tonight. I know you are quite frustrated as well. It's like you take a breath tomorrow, you crack on, you look forward to Leeds game, and that'll be us. And you can you might find this summer there'll maybe be more talks about FSG following this, or even in January. But I've got to be honest, mate. The procedure of taking a club over, as you said, can take a long time anyway. So even if that is maybe the move are going to happen, see when they play Leeds, when that kicks off, I'm still going to want a team to win. I'm not going to want them to lose. I'm not going to want them to prove FSG wrong that they didn't sign anyone or didn't support Klopp if that's the case. You just kind of need to get on with it. It is frustrating. It is annoying. Like I kind of accepted it earlier today. I really did think we would get at least one in. I said two a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Bit pissed off about that, but there's not much we can do right now. It might be something to look to. But as you said, Gav, I would say there's always someone. But when you show me the numbers like that and start saying 3 billion, it does reduce it for who you can possibly get. But I think do you think this might be the camel that breaks the back, in the sense of that maybe this summer there might be more on FSG out than there was potentially before? There's maybe a bit more of a divide.
I don't know. I did say last night that not bringing in one or two this summer has a knock-on effect, not only for the footballing season, but what you want to do next year. You know, and we keep hearing this, you know, oh, well, Liverpool, and it's been stated by journalists before people say, well, where did you hear it? It's been stated by journalists that, you know, senior officials inside Liverpool see next summer as the time to refresh and re-strengthen and stuff like that. And they'll back that up by saying, well, look, we are in COVID and they're giving themselves a year to sort themselves out and get back on an even keel and stuff like that. And you can take that at face value. But my argument over that would be, if you think you need 2 now and you look at that squad, you probably need 5 next summer. And for players that would leave, i.e. Minamino and Origi, you're probably looking 20 million quid, right? And you're taking them 2 out and you're probably looking to bring in 3 or 4. So you're getting 20 million quid. Are you going to throw enough money at those 4 players to bring them in? The track record would it say you do it? I don't know. So I think not only is it one of those things where you've made it difficult, or you've made it difficult this summer. I think you've probably made it a bit difficult for yourself next summer with the numbers you will try to do. And not only that, if the numbers you're trying to do are there and other clubs know that you're trying to do it, that weakens. It absolutely weakens your hand as well. So I think
great point, Gav.
I think there's a knock-on effect to what's happened in this window. But I'll still be there when it comes around to Leeds. I'm still thinking, win the game, 27 more wins, Liverpool come in the title. I'm just like that. But I do see where it comes around next summer, and you go, Origi's not wanted, Minamino's probably not wanted, Milner's 37. You know, there's 3. You know, the sort of way. Is it time to move Mane on? Is it time to move Firmino on? Let's look at midfield. All right, Henderson signed the deal last year, but he's been injured again. You know, Ox has been injured. Keita has been injured or off form. You know, and then you're looking going, you've a little bit of a doubt about 6 or 7 here now. All right, we'll get rid of 4 of them and we'll bring in 4 or 5 of them and bring in 5, or, you know, or we'll just get rid of 2, but we still probably need to bring in 4 because we didn't do something last summer when we probably needed that. So there's loads of bits around it. I just do think that I like to see a club ticking over. And I think we've ticked over okay. There's a lot made of the whole summer of 19 when we only signed Sepp van den Berg and Adrian and stuff. But I thought the thing around that for me is that Klopp seen 18, 19 and he seen the hunger in that team. And he felt that, you know what, they can go again. I have to keep them together. I have to keep them as similar as I possibly can, because they're definitely going to go for it again. And they did. They tore the league apart, and would have for me, without COVID, put a points total that would never been touched again, in my opinion. Okay, and then you look at, you know, that's 1920, and then the summer of 20, he brings in Jota and he brings in Thiago, and you're thinking that's ticking over, right? Maybe people wanted more, but that was ticking over. Kanate this summer, but when Aldum leaves, you know, and people would say, well, you know, Harvey Elliott's come in, and Harvey Elliott has come in, no problem, and I have no problem with getting minutes and development and stuff like that. But I just think it's, if you bring 1 or 2 more in, it's just ticking over, and the reason for that is there's a freshness to it, there's a competitiveness to it, there's a security to it, because you've seen what happened to you last season. I'm not talking about the long-term stuff. I'm talking about players getting constantly niggled injuries here and there. They're affected us big time. But when you're ticking over and you bring those 2 in, you're getting that insurance policy and you're bedding them in. And when it gets to next summer, you go, I only need 2. And I'm getting rid of 2 and I'm bringing in 2 and we're going to improve again. And I know more about my players in a year's time. There's loads of bits to it, but it's just, I can't say any more than I know people's frustrations, you know, and I share them to a point, but I don't share them to an extreme that some people do.
No, absolutely get that, Gav. And just one of the comments, sorry, the straw that broke the camel's back. I said that wrong. So fair enough for pulling me up in that comment. I got that one wrong. But yeah, I think the frustration, Gav, you completely get it. I don't know if that's Saul confirmed. I've seen some of the comments there. I don't know if it's just Duke or Cyber.
It looks like a Chelsea fan in there. He's gone. Oh, here, Juka Soyberg says, Soyborg, sorry, Sol and 2 blue circles. So I'm presuming that's him confirmed, or he's just really happy, and it will be confirmed at some stage.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of touched on the Bellerin one. I think we've touched on most of the transfers today, Gav. We talked to Dan James. There's a few small ones I just wanted to give a mention to, just because we're here and we're on the show final day.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Kral for West Ham. He's a Spartak Moscow he signed from.
Yeah, I think that's a loan option, isn't it?
Yeah. So Kufal and Shuchek, I think they're mates, but they were at Slavia. I know they're not the same team, but I think they know him quite well because they welcomed him on social media. I think he's quite a good player as well. I've heard quite good things about him. Can play centre mid, maybe as a alternative for Rice. And just you mentioned the Arsenal right back and centre back they signed, the Japanese football player. And the only other one I just wanted to mention, Gav, was Brighton did sign. They signed Cucurella, I think his name is. Some hair on him, absolutely some hair, wonderful hair. So I think he was I think he's, correct me if I'm wrong, Gav, is he a bit of a versatile player? He is a midfielder. I might have got that wrong because I only had to read a quick article on it. But that kind of rounds up all the transfers of the day. If there's any last minute ones, let us know. But I think we've kind of covered all of them, Gav. So anything else you wanted to kind of discuss? We've done a lot about Liverpool, obviously, recently there.
Yeah, we've done a lot about Liverpool. There's not a huge amount happening. Bellerin is a loan from Arsenal to Betis. Somebody up there says, "Geez, are killing me with this," and I'm trying my best to keep up. But let me see where that's gone. I think his name is Cav Oldham.
What did the super chat? See if he just types it in again, I'll catch it, Gav.
Yeah, was it his own super chat? I didn't see a pop up here. I thought I was keeping up with them all, and I thought I had them all as I went. But when things move so fast, they just come on and then they disappear. It's a nightmare. But if he types it back in, Cav Oldham, I think was the guy's name. So just there he is there. He said, "Gav, miss super chat." If it's for yourself, just type it back in there, and we'll read it out.
No, you've been catching it, Gav. I missed that one as well, mate.
Yeah, it says here. There was another one there as well that I wanted to read out. It was about Vlasic. Is Vlasic going to West Ham as well?
30 million, yeah. He's been signed for West Ham. West Ham have a very good window, yeah.
Yeah, watch out for Vlasic at West Ham for CSK. Yeah. He was at Everton as a youngster, but has gone away and turned into a really good player. And Aidan, I think, I get where you're coming from with that, because I listened to, what's the podcast? They're really good. 3 Liverpool fans, 3 Everton fans. Across the Park is the name of the podcast. They're really good. 3 Everton, 3 Liverpool fans every week. And they were saying about, the Everton fans saying about Vlasic, that they're a bit annoyed that he ended up leaving Everton. And when what he's turned out to be, he just didn't get the right chance at Everton. So he is he is a really good player. Dean Regan says Van der Beek's agent was desperate for him to leave United, but the United blocked all moves. Yeah, I feel so sorry for that.
I actually do, because I really liked watching him in that Ajax team when they got to the semi-final. Thought he was a good player, quite intelligent player, obviously through the Dutch football. I don't know if I can pronounce the name of the league, but obviously great style of play. I feel like he'll be a hit somewhere else. I do feel really sorry for him. The guy's not even.
Yeah, I think he's a really good player. Really good player.
I actually wanted Liverpool to go in for him, but that won't happen anyway because he's United now. But hopefully he can get away, because, I mean, you talk about being a flop, but literally not getting a chance. I don't know if you can be a flop if you've not had a chance to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he hasn't been given the opportunity. And like, I just see, when I look around like Gunnar Solskjaer, he literally fixes on a team and just stays on it. You know, he very rarely changes what he has. Like Fred McTominay, he might do Matic. You know what I mean? Pogba, Fernandes, one other, and somebody up front. You know what I mean? And it's like, when I look at Van der Beek, and I'm kind of saying to myself, there's no way in hell Van der Beek should be on that pitch before a Matic, or a Fred, or a McTominay for that matter. You know, but I don't know what it is about Solskjaer. Like, if he does Fred and McTominay, he's doing Pogba, Fernandes, Greenwood, and say a Cavani or a Rashford or whoever, Ronaldo in this case now. He doesn't seem to want to play a midfielder in a midfield position that will affect the game, I suppose, get beyond midfield positions. Where if you look at McTominay does it the odd time, Fred doesn't. Matic most certainly doesn't. Like, I can't understand why he doesn't go in there with a 4-3-3 and get Donny van der Beek in there, because he's so fucking good. Like, I've watched him loads for Ajax, and really good footballer, protects the ball, passes it well, good vision, sets up chances, runs beyond strikers, runs channels, drifts out wide, does it all. Absolutely does it all. And it's one of those where it's just a strange one. I think it's one of those where it hasn't worked out for him, but why United are blocking moves because they don't want to lose a member of their squad, someone that they might use, the sort of way. But I genuinely feel sorry for Donny van der Beek, because I think he's a really, really good player.
Yeah, I'll be happy when he gets somewhere else and can show what he can do. As I say, you never know. Maybe one of them we'll keep an eye on. Maybe you're not going to move from Man United to Liverpool, but you might keep an eye on him. You might get the chance later in his career. But yeah, that Ajax, I remember that run. I just thought he was super. I thought he was really intelligent, Gav. I thought, do you know what it is? He's maybe not, obviously, he's athletic because he's a footballer, his fitness. But to me, intelligence-wise, he just looked like he just knew what was happening. He was good technically, but it wasn't necessarily unbelievable. But I just thought his movement was spot on. Late runs into the box, just really, really, really impressed with him. So
it's one of those, like, you had Frankie de Jong in the same side. Yeah. Frankie de Jong was not. He was a proper central midfielder. Got around, but got on the ball, took the ball off centre backs, full backs.
You can't get the ball off of de Jong. That's his type of game.
Yeah, linked play well. But when you watch Van der Beek, he was in the middle of the park. Then he'd be out left, he'd be out right, he'd be pressing centre halves. He was everywhere. I remember him. I think it was Real Madrid away that year. I think they knocked Real Madrid out that year.
Yeah, they beat Real Madrid 4-1, 4-2 at the Bernabeu.
Yeah, and he was outstanding. If that's the game I'm thinking of, he was outstanding. And he was just like, there he is again. And people were going on about Frankie de Jong, and I'm looking going, he's messed. That Van der Beek fella is unbelievable.
A better manager will get brilliance from him. I'm telling you right now, someone who will look at him and get better.
I look at him and I think to myself, in a 3 in a Liverpool midfield, I think he'd be so good, because he's athletic, he's strong, he's not slow, but he has vision, he can pass, and not only that, he does like to get in support of forwards. He likes to get beyond them, but it doesn't affect the fact that he can turn and get back. The sort of way. I think he's really, really, really good. Like Laura Duffy says there, Van der Beek is a cautionary tale of why it's important to choose your move wisely. Don't just choose a flash move. I think he was signed off the back of United trying to appease fans when they couldn't get Jadon Sancho. That's what I think what happened there. And then you look at the likes of Gravenberch at Ajax now, and I think if Gravenberch has any sense, he looks, and I'm not saying, don't go to Manchester United because they're a huge club, but when a deal comes up for Gravenberch from anyone, he should take a good look at it and go, right, is this right for me? Is the manager right for me? Who is in that squad? Who could stand in my way? Is the manager adventurous? Does he like to change things? Does he believe me? Does he trust me? Because I don't know what Van der Beek was sold going to Manchester United, but my God, like, whatever he was sold, it's absolutely night and day to what he's experienced for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Dean Regan, just in the comments, Gav, he's saying Griezmann moving doubt, saying it's left it too late, apparently.
I'll have a look there. Yeah, I brought it up on screen. Just let me see if anything comes up here when I refresh. Serge Aurier has agreed to terminate his contract by mutual consent. He leaves on a free. He has his interest from Watford, Real Betis. Not Real Betis now. Bellerin's gone there. Spartak Moscow and Genoa, but he feels he should be playing at a higher level. Arsenal have confirmed Takehiro Tomiyasu. That's just happened in the last couple of minutes as well. They're still talking about Saul. Will they get it done?
But they always say this. But
it should be fine because they'll have an extra hour after the 11 p.m. deadline as well. Obviously, they've applied for that. Wolves hope to resume contract talks with Adam the Damatori after keeping hold of him during the transfer window. Tottenham were interested, but their bids fell well short of a 50 million asking price. So that's all that's there at the moment. The Griezmann one, they say 11, but like once they get something in by 11 o'clock, they have an hour then to absolutely
now than it's ever been. It is more lenient now
absolutely.
than it's ever been.
Yeah, it should be a case of, listen, This is where you send all the documents, and we're turning off that machine at 11 o'clock. And if it doesn't arrive, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Don't send
but
a
that's not
fax
how it
though
works.
if you're Real Madrid. The fax machine.
Yeah, I remember the
faxes
faxes were turning up. Was it at United and they were just shredding them as they were coming out of the machine?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no one really talks about that anymore. That's going to get brushed under the carpet. But,
yeah, Jono says the Chelsea squad is loaded. I'd like to see another centre half, Jono. Well, I think they're really good. I think they're really, really good. But I just think a centre half. But they might be able to just,
Are we forgetting a centre half they've got, Gav? You're right, but so they've sold Zuma, Christensen, Rudiger,
Rudiger, Thiago Silva.
Aspe will play there as well.
Plays off one side. I just think they might be just a little bit. Could be wrong, but that's just me looking at their squad and going.
Especially selling Zuma, especially with them sold Zuma. I'm not saying Zuma is the same as Koundé, but you would have think if the Koundé deal wasn't a guarantee, they would have kept Zuma. But yeah,
it's Daddy Pig says we've fallen behind our competitors. It's going to be a long season. Are you that down? Free World says FSG leaving us out to rot. It's so poor. I did see something about an FSG out protest against Crystal Palace at Anfield. I think I've seen. So that'd be interesting to see if anyone turns up to that or gets behind that, wherever it might be. Sam Tandy says Chelsea will be heavily reliant on Lukaku. Get majority of the goals. Will be their major problem. Yeah, I don't know. Well, Werner is that backup there, and I don't know how much he's trusted by Thomas Tuchel, but he's going to have to be at some stage.
Havertz as well. Don't bear in mind.
Yeah, Havertz kind of plays off. I think just out and out strikers. I think is one of those. Let me see. Andy Kaufman says he just read Daddy Pig like it was nothing. I'm used to him. Daddy Pig is in the chat most nights, so I'm just used to seeing his name. Red Steve says, tell us some jokes to cheer us up. No, not a fucking hope. Let me see. Kev O'Sullivan said just on Chelsea, he said they play a back three, so they need one more, in his opinion. But no, there's nothing really happening. I'm trying to see if anything turns up here. But on Sky at the moment, it's still 4 or 5 minutes.
International break as well, Gav. That just adds to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but we have a great time on this challenge on international break. That's
I'm new to it, so I'm definitely up for
yeah.
that.
So Jamie has the midweek fix tomorrow. Thursday is Carnage. Friday is Sports Unplugged. So they're all normal shows. Saturday we won't do anything. Sunday we'll be back with the Fat Back 4, but obviously it's an international break, so we're probably going to do some sort of quiz or draft or something along them lines, because you should always have a bit of fun in international breaks. It's a chance to just let off a bit of steam and not worry about football for a bit. And look, don't get me wrong, we get loads and loads and loads of people watching our shows at night, but when it comes to quizzes, the amount of people watching drops considerably. But they miss out on some great stuff. Just literally sitting, having a drink, doing a quiz, having a laugh. And some people don't like that. They just give me all the football.
There's a comment for you.
He used Emma says he used to hate international breaks until the Daytrippers quizzes came along. We're doing one on Sunday. We're going to do one on Sunday with the Fat Back 4. I think we're going to do some sort of draft then following Monday on the forum. I know people want me and Andy to do a random chat where we end up talking absolute nonsense. Don't watch it if you don't want to.
Didn't go for skits.
So I think we're going to try to do that maybe next Tuesday. But look, it's usually an international break, so we try to take a little bit of a break, so we wouldn't do something every single night. But we try to fill as many we try to fill in as many nights as we can. But at the same time, there will be some football stuff, but there'll be a lot of just having a laugh, having a bit of crack, and then we get back into the good stuff. Going into probably the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of that week. So we try to fit a couple of things in over the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, just to have a bit of crack. And people seem to like it. And you know what? It's one of those, come along. You don't have to watch it. Like I do say to people, people say to me, why are you telling people not to watch it? And I say, well, because a lot of people come on expecting football stuff, and it's a quiz, and could be talking about anything. Or me and Andy could be talking about, how much it costs you to rent a skip.
It's the crack, Gav. I listened to a few of the quizzes, mate, before.
Yeah, exactly.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's exactly. So it's one of them.
Shawnee Lawson's the champ, though. I think Shawnee's won quite a few.
Yeah, Shawnee's
unbeaten. You have a
unbeaten.
better memory than Shawnee to win, and
Shawnee, Shawnee walks around his house with like a wrestling belt, because he's
I
champion.
thought you were going to say just like encyclopedia of football.
No, he just walks around with a belt. He goes to shops with the belt over his shoulder and stuff like that.
Daytrippers champion.
Yeah, exactly. So, but look, as I said, we bring you loads and loads of football stuff. This is just a chance to throw stuff in because people are always asking, can you do a quiz? Can you do a draft? Can you do Andy Gav random chat? I mean, we don't forget that when they ask, so we just throw it in there. Now, the only thing is the quiz on Sunday night. If I ask any questions from before 1999, Shawnee gets fucking very upset.
Did you do that originally? Because the first quiz, it was quite, further back in some of the questions. And then I noticed the other ones, it was more...
They move around. It depends what humour I'm in. Like some of them, the last two I've done have been impossible for the lads. Like they've been giving out stink about it. And then we do drafts, which get harder and harder as they go along, trying to find stuff, what to do. But the quiz, literally when I sit down to do those quizzes and put everything together, it all depends what humour I'm in, Conroy. If I'm in good humour, it'll go easy. But I like it to be difficult. Copies versus Trippers again, says Craig Milton. They haven't turned up for the second leg. The lads destroyed them in the fourth leg, but they haven't shown up for the second leg. I think we've been given a walkover. They've promised us a couple of times, but it hasn't happened.
That would be great viewing. That would be great viewing. To be fair, last time, the questions didn't fall for them and it just went bad. I think it was Matt and Callum. It just went, Matt and Drifty just went from bad to worse.
Matt and Callum, yeah. And Dave says Jamie and his wrong answer were the best one. That was, of course, when Jamie hosted it and he went onto a website for all the answers and they were all wrong. So there you go. Or Alison says, Gav, you should have seen my idea for a draft. Email it to me and I'll have a look both. And like that's what I'm saying. Look, I try and make the quizzes hard, not only for the lads that are on that have no access to anything, but also the people in the chat who have access to Google. Makes it a little bit harder for them to Google.
I like the countries one, Gav, when you had to pick the numbers of like the different countries, the football questions for that country. That was good.
There's loads of different stuff we do, and it's just, look, we just have a bit of crack, and that's what it's about. It's a time to just, it's international break. Let's just have a bit of crack for a couple of days, and then we get back into it. Because, like, we're how many days? We're into the international break now. When we get our normal shows out of the way this week, we'll only have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then from Wednesday onwards, we'll be looking forward to Leeds, won't we? So it's one of those where there's only a couple of days to do it. And as I said, we let you know. We let you know when they're coming, and if you want to watch them. If you don't. We'll only be here having a crack. We won't look at how many people are watching. We just have a bit of fun anyway. So that's it. Are we at 11 o'clock yet?
I'm 58, mate.
22.
Still 1 minute, mate. Still 1 minute. Have hope.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Let me see. Oh, here's one for you. It must be a relation of yours. He says Conroy is signing of the summer.
That's my burner account. That's my burner account. No, thanks for the compliment, mate.
Well, no, Conroy's been on a couple of times now, and people, I've told him, and people tell him all the time he's done really, really well, and you'll see a lot more of him on the Daytrippers going forward. And of course, don't forget, go onto his channel as well, Conroy Talks. Make sure you give that a subscription. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon. I should know all this stuff by now, but make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I think we're going to try to do a show as well next week, aren't we? On your
we're going to do a show based on the the Haaland and Mbappe. I'll work something out, that kind of comment for Haaland and Mbappe, and maybe the kind of who can take over and be the new leaders of football. We'll get something on that because it'll be a good debate, and I'm sure there'll be lots happened by then as well. Because be good to get finished with transfers, to be honest, Gav. Like, all jokes aside, mate, but I get fed up of seeing it on Twitter every day.
Yeah, there is one or two in the chat there that are imbeciles, and you know who they are when I'm talking about you. So just they are being looked after by the moderators, and they will be removed. So if you see them on your screen, don't worry about it. They will be removed ASAP. So don't panic over that, all right? Morons. But anyway, 11 o'clock has come. We have, let me see.
I'm going to say no one. I can't believe it.
It's officially closed. Aurier was the last thing really terminated by mutual consent. I can see him go to Everton. I think Everton are crying out for a right back, and although it's Serge Aurier, I I think it could be something Everton look at.
Maybe, mate. Maybe just because I'm maybe desperate for a right back, but I don't know if Benitez would go for Ori just because of his lack of discipline defensively.
Mm.
But who knows? You know, he might be just desperate for a bit of cover in that area. Rondon, you know what, Rondon? I've got a bit. I actually think Rondon's quite. I thought, see when he was at West Brom in
Yeah.
the Premier League, he had a really good season that year, and I actually think I don't know if he's still at that level, but I was impressed with him. He caused a lot of trouble in the Premier League if he played his strengths. So that'll be an interesting one as well.
Yeah, it will be an interesting Rondon is a 2-year deal, like Chris Brack says. So yeah, it's been a good chat despite the year we're in because what's going on with Liverpool. But it's been a good discussion. And as I said, the midweek fix is coming tomorrow, and there's going to be a lot more discussion on FSG and Liverpool and the window that's been and what other clubs have done and stuff like that. So yeah, we make sure you check that out tomorrow. Carnage is back, and I think
Gav,
going to
do you want me? Sorry, just one of the comments said there. 2 seconds, all right. Just because they said, all right. If she comes, I'll bring her.
Oh, the cat.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Come on. I don't think she wants to. Oh, here it is. Right. It's okay.
Yeah,
right.
The cat.
Say hello to Maui, folks. This is
there you go.
Cat.
There's the cat.
That's okay.
The cat that gets more requests than any of us on this show when it comes on.
She's raging now because she was comfy there. She's actually
yeah, you've annoyed her now at 11 o'clock at night.
No, she's quite calm to be fair. She'll just chill out now.
Yeah, that's good. Chris Brack says that was the best part of the pod. Thanks a million, Chris. All the effort we put in for this, and the best part of it was a cat appearing on screen.
She is photogenic. I don't know what it is about her, but genuinely, I can't take a good picture to save my life. You can catch her when she's looking the wrong way, and it still is like, wow, that's a Mona Lisa.
Shane says,
oh, jeez.
Just your average cat for me, to be honest with you.
Don't tell my girlfriend that. She'll be fuming me. I'm not sure that comment.
Jonathan says you can't trust cats. You see, this is what I love. See, like, oh, your cat's lovely. And then when you show us the cat, you get absolutely slammed. And this is the sort of stuff I love.
Well, I would say this, right? She's one of them. She's sneaky. Like, she plays the kind of, oh, I'm adorable. And then you just see, like, random bits falling off a table, smashed. And she's just like,
wasn't me.
Yeah.
Wasn't me. So there you go. I think we're done, are we? We're past it. No, nothing's going to happen now. I think we've done well. We're on for 2 hours and 1 minute so far. And between the two
John Henry just woke up out his bed. Have I forgot something?
Yeah. I'm nearly sure it was something I was meant to do today, but he hasn't done it. Much to the horror of loads of Liverpool fans. But look, as I said, people are going to be upset. That's absolutely fine. But hopefully, when we come around to Leeds in a couple 10, 12, 11 days, wherever it might be, people will be back on a bit better form. Conroy, anything else before we go, my
man? If you want to watch Andy Robertson, he'll be playing tomorrow night against Denmark. Maybe to give you something to look forward to. I don't know if you look forward to Denmark versus Scotland. I'm not particularly excited, but I'm going to watch the game. So just a shout out for that. But cheers, thanks for having me, Gav. Really enjoy these shows as well. It was a good chat.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we'll get a show put in next week, maybe get a wee agenda for that, so everyone will want to come along with that. We'll get that out on Twitter. But yeah, thanks again, Gavin. Despite it being expectedly annoying and frustrating, really happy with that chat, mate. I'm glad I was here for the window to close. So thanks again, and cheers to all the comments and that in the community.
Yeah, there was loads in there tonight watching and commenting, and bar one or two idiots who everyone knows who they are. As always, the comments were respectful, knowledgeable, and a good debate in there that leads to a good debate on here because we use a lot of your comments anyway. Andy Kaufman said his gran was killed by a cat.
All right.
But it wasn't your cat, so you shouldn't feel responsible.
Sorry, Andy. She's a house cat, so she doesn't even get out. So.
unless his gran was in your house trying to steal something.
So. Maybe there's a space in how she's getting out, but if she's doing it, she's like, it's mission impossible. So we'll see. So sorry, Andy. Though sorry.
We don't know if Andy Kaufman's gran has come across you or your cat in the house.
Maybe the menace. You never know.
Yeah. There you go. Right, that is officially it. That is the end of the show. Like I said, check out the shows on the rest of the week. Give us a like on the way out if you can. If you are already subscribed, thanks. If you're not, go and subscribe. You know yourself how it works. And as I said, keep supporting us. Keep liking, sharing, subscribing, whatever it can be. Anything you can do to support us is great. Don't forget Sienna Steps. We mentioned at the end of every show. Link is in the description where you can buy a virtual ticket for Anfield for just €1, and every single penny we make is going towards Sienna and hoping to get her to America, St. Louis in America in November for life-changing treatment. If you want to go down a different route, type Sienna's Steps GoFundMe into Google and that will come up straight away. And I should add that to the show description as well. It's actually, there's 2 links in the description. One is for the virtual ticket, one is for actually our website, which brings you through to the GoFundMe. But if you go to Google, type in Sienna Steps GoFundMe, you'll find it there. And if you want to put some money in there, absolutely do so. She's still a fair bit way off what she needs, so we want to try do this over the next, we're hoping 8-10 weeks, and get her over to America, because it'll be massive, absolutely massive for her if we can get this done, and it'll be the biggest achievement. One of the biggest achievements on this podcast. Forget subscribers or everything else. It'd be absolutely huge. Polly Walnuts, love the name. Best show ever on television and one of the best characters ever. By the way,
I said to my stepdad tonight, Gav, actually before I came on the show, he's not seen The Sopranos, so I suggested he has to watch that.
Get on there. Polly Walnuts from Sopranos, or Omar Little from The Wire, 2 of the best characters you will ever see.
I said The Wire as well, mate. I said The Wire as well.
The Wire is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But as I said, watch the show during the week. Thanks for watching. The comments have been amazing. Liverpool haven't done a fucking tap on transfer deadline day, but just hand out contracts like they were, like literally just handing it out like for no reason. Not for no reason. They're good players, but literally handing them out for the crack. That is it. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.